Dragon Ball Daily Gift Pack Chapter 341-360. 341. The Worries of the Eastern Sky Territory. And Hufazuo also swore in his heart that he must treat Yi Chu's 100 friends well this time, because he could win Yi Chu's favor and make Yi Chu feel good about him. Yi Chu nodded with satisfaction after seeing that the angel leader had done this. Then Yi Chu asked the 100 friends around him to leave with the Guardian Zuo, and the Guardian Zuo would also arrange their next itinerary. And Yi Chu also said when they left that he was in the Eastern Heaven territory of the angel universe. If they had something to do, they could come to him at any time, and Yi Chu also agreed that if they stayed here for more than a year, they would come to the gathering again and decide whether to leave or not. But Yi Chu didn't let Bulma, Chi-Chi and others leave, because he had to take them to play in the angel universe with him. Okay, the angel head, 103 inches led, I have brought all my friends here. I don't need your company this time, you have your own things to do first. What do I have? I will definitely come to you if I need something. Quote. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yi Chu said, the angel leader also said that Yi Chu should not be too polite. Not long after that, the angel leader had already left. At this time, Yi Chu also took Chi-Chi, Bulma, Yi Shaoshan, Yi Xiaoyu and others to the distance. Just as Yi Chu and the others were walking towards the Eastern Heaven territory, the angel universe also began to vibrate violently, and the reason why the angel universe vibrated was precisely because of Yi Chu. At this time, there was also news that Yi Chu was not actually a person from the angel universe, and his strength was incomparably powerful. It could be said that he was hiding his identity before, and he was practicing here with the angel. At this time, he is also with the angel. The leader formed an alliance and could be said to be the most precious guest in the universe. This news spread all over the angel universe, and it also spread to the Eastern Heaven territory of the angel universe. When he heard the news of the Eastern Heaven territory of the universe, all the people in the Eastern Heaven territory felt extremely surprised in their hearts. During this period of time, because Yi Chu has been away from here, they have been quietly waiting for Yi Chu. And they have also developed the Eastern Heaven territory very prosperously, waiting for Yi Chu to return, but at this time they heard the news, and now they feel some unbelievable. Master Yi Chu, isn't it really from our angel universe? He is obviously the commander of our Eastern Heaven territory, how could he suddenly become a person from another universe? Some people said that they felt a little unbelievable in their hearts, and this Yi Chu also walked with Chi-Chi, Bulma and others towards the Eastern Sky territory, because there is his influence in the Eastern Sky territory, and the people here are almost complete. With him at the head, the words in the Eastern Sky territory are the most suitable for them. Yi Chu also knew in his heart that when he came back this time, his identity would be completely exposed, and the people in the Eastern Heaven region would definitely be disappointed, but Yi Chu had already figured out how to deal with it. Before the time passed, Yi Chu had already brought Chi-Chi and Bulma to the Eastern Sky territory. Yi Chu brought Chi-Chi and Bulma to the Mona Angel Star. At this time, the people in the Eastern Sky territory also got the news, especially the people on the Moana Angel Star. The people on the Moana Angel Star stood on the Moana Angel Star and watched Yi Chu walking towards them. There are many questions. Some people believe in it, others doubt it, and some people doubt it. Because Yi Chu's identity was very suspicious in the past, and was questioned by many people. At this time, if Yi Chu was not from the angel universe, they could actually accept it a little bit, but they actually had some doubts in their hearts. I wonder if Yi Chu would continue to be their leader if he wasn't from the angel universe. And the reason why they think so is because Yi Chu has been their commander for a while, and when Yi Chu was in front of them, Yi Chu did a very good job, and the Eastern Heaven territory was also vigorous. It was developing, so they had already relied on the days when Yi Chu was there. If there was no Yi Chu to manage them here, they would feel a little lost. Yi Chu, is this the place you manage in the angel universe? At this time, King Quan also followed Yi Chu's side. King Quan said, and after hearing King Quan say this, Yi Chu also nodded. Seeing Yi Chu nodding, King Quan felt a little surprised, because King Kwan looked at the planets around him, especially on the Angel of Mona. There were many masters who were stronger than him, which made King Kwan feel difficult. Believe it, and these people are all Yi Chu's subordinates. Sir, who are you? At this time, Chiu-chung walked over to Yi Chu and said, because Yi Chu has also used Chiu-chung very much during this period of time, so when Yi Chu left, Chiu-chung was also in charge of all the things on the Mona Angel Star. Business affairs, so at this time Chiu-chung also came to ask Yi Chu. Yi Chu looked at Chu Cheng, and Kai Cheng also looked at Yi Chu in amazement. Although Chu Cheng suspected that the person in front of him might be Yi Chu, no matter how he looked at it, he felt that this person seemed to be the same as Yi Chu before. Just like another person. Shi-chung, could it be that you don't know me? Yi Chu looked at Chu Cheng and said, Yi Chu didn't intend to hide his identity this time, so he opened his mouth and said this. After hearing what Yi Chu said, Chu Cheng finally confirmed it in his heart. Are you really Lord Yi Chu? Chiu-chung looked at Yi Chu in disbelief and said. Hearing Chiu-chung say this, Yi Chu also nodded, and then Yi Chu was about to transform into the image of an angel walking in the angel universe before him. At this time, when he saw that Yi Chu had become his previous angel image, Ji Chung-shin also completely believed in 5.0. At this time, the surrounding Mona Angel Star and even the masters on other surrounding planets also saw Yi Chu's image. The image of an angel, they finally completely believed in their hearts. Meet Lord Yi Chu. At this time, it was Jicheng who led all the masters on the Angel of Mona and began to kneel and bow to Yi Chu. When Jicheng took all the masters of the Angel of Mo, and bowed to Yi Chu, the other planets around the master on the top also knelt down and bowed to Yi Chu. Because they had already confirmed Yi Chu's identity at this time, they had to bow down to Yi Chu to greet Yi Chu. If they didn't, it might be unreasonable. 342. The feeling of security. All right, I'll get up. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and then he waved his hand gently. At that time, when Yi Chu waved his hand, there was a very soft power in his hand, which radiated from the body along his palm, like the surrounding space swept over, and soon passed over the bodies of all the masters on the Angel Star of Mona. Immediately afterwards, their waists began to straighten up involuntarily. It's not wrong for you to get the news. I'm not a person in the angel universe. I'm just a person in another universe. I came here and became your commander, but since I've become your commander, don't worry. I will definitely not give up on you. I will always be your commander, and then lead you to become more and more prosperous and happier. Quote. Yi Chu spoke indifferently while standing high in the sky at this time. Yi Chu's words also reached the ears of everyone above the Angel Star of Mona. After they heard Yi Chu's words, they all reacted quickly and felt some joy. Thank you, Lord Yi Chu. It is our honor that Lord Yi Chu can be our leader. Even if Lord Yi Chu doesn't want to continue to be the leader of our Eastern Heaven territory, we will not have any complaints in our hearts. At this time, Chi-chung continued to lower himself and said to Yi Chu. Although he said so, if Yi Chu really wasn't their leader, he would definitely feel very disappointed. After hearing Chi-chung say this, Yi Chu nodded and smiled, but didn't say anything more. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chu continued to communicate with them. When Yi Chu continued to communicate with them, he also showed a very gentle appearance, and everyone also accepted Yi Chu's current identity in their hearts. They felt that perhaps Yi Chu's current appearance was more perfect than he was before, and from what they saw now, Yi Chu's strength was much stronger than what they appeared to be before, and Yi Chu's identity had also risen a lot. Yi Chu even called brothers to the angel leader. In this case, as long as Yi Chu was here, the Eastern Heaven territory could become the most powerful area in the angel universe, and everyone could live a very happy life. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chu let everyone disperse and let them continue their business. During this period of time, because the Eastern Sky territory is also developing continuously, and everyone on the Mona Angel Star is very diligent, each of them can be said to have their own work and things. Seeing that Yi Chu was still willing to be their leader, everyone felt extremely excited, and then they continued to act according to Yi Chu's words. Yi Chu looked at them and felt extremely happy. At this time, Chi-Chi, Bulma and the others were standing beside Yi Chu. There is also a sense of pride on the face. The vast starry sky around them can be said to be the power of their husbands. And in this universe, who else can do such a thing except their husbands? No one but their husbands can. Both Chi-Chi and Bulma were extremely proud, and at this time Yi Xiaoshan looked at Yi Chu and slowly clenched his fists. Yi Xiaoshan also made an oath in his heart that he must be as majestic as Yi Chu, handsome as Yi Chu, and stronger than Yi Chu. And Yi Xiaoyu, who was standing next to Yi Xiaoshan, had little stars in his eyes and Yi Chu's figure. When I grow up, I must marry a man like my father. Yi Xiaoyu thought in her heart, and she became a little expectant and sweet. Okay, during this period of time, I will rest on the Mona Angel Star. This is my stronghold, and no one can disturb you. After you have rested for a while, I will bring you with me. You guys have a good time in the angel universe. Yi Chu opened his mouth. Hearing Yi Chu's words, Chi-Chi and Bulma also nodded and agreed, and they began to live around Yi Chu's palace. During this time, Yi Chu's palace also appeared to be even taller. There were also some very large cities around Yi Chu's palace, and there were many interesting things in these towns. Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu couldn't wait to put down their things, and then started to play in the towns around Yi Chu Palace. And the humanistic scene of the angel universe is constantly being rendered on them, making the two people's horizons wider and wider. Yi Chu also took the woman and Bulma around the city constantly, because these cities were built around Yi Chu's palace, so it can be said that these towns can also be said to be Yi Chu's property. When Yi Chu entered here, if he liked something, it would be fine even if he took it away and gave it to Chi-Chi and Bulma, but Yi Chu would usually pay. The angel universe is extremely vast, and it's no worse than our Dragon Ball universe. Right now we've only been in this place for a while. After a few days, I'll take you to a wider place in the angel universe and take you to appreciate the beauty of the angel universe. Yi Chu opened his mouth, which made them look forward to it. Yi Chu, I'll leave here first, and then go around alone. I'll see you in a while. The past few days, King Quan said to Yi Chu. When he heard King Quan like this, Yi Chu also nodded, and then agreed with King Quan. Then King Quan left here, not knowing where to go to the angel universe. Wandered around. When the night of the angel universe comes, there are endless starlight scattered in the universe. The night of the angel universe is not completely dark. Occasionally, there are feather-like shadows floating by, and I don't know if it is a dream or an illusion. However, because Yi Chu and the others were used to sleeping, Yi Chu continued to sleep with Yi Xiaoyu and Bulma at night. When Yi Chu took Chi-Chi and Bulma to sleep, Yi Xiaoyu also came over. Yi Xiaoyu slept next to Yi Chu. In the first half of the night, everything seemed normal, but in the second half of the night, Yi Xiaoyu unexpectedly crawled onto Yi Chu's body, then hung on Yi Chu's body and started to sleep. 343. Two Women's Craftsmanship. After seeing Yi Xiaoyu's actions, Yi Chu didn't bother Yi Xiaoyu too much. He just smiled quietly and watched Yi Xiaoyu sleeping. Yi Xiaoyu sleeping looked very cute. When Yi Xiaoyu slept on Yi Chu's body, he also looked very peaceful. Yi Chu's chest rose and fell slightly, and it seemed to convey a very peaceful atmosphere to Yi Xiaoyu's heart. Yi Xiaoyu's chest it was also beating gently, making Yi Chu's heart feel a little more peaceful. Yi Chu closed his eyes gently, and the sweet dream came slowly towards him. When he woke up the next day, Yi Chu found that Yi Xiaoyu was still lying on top of him, and there was still some saliva left in the corner of his mouth, looking very cute. At this time, Yi Chu didn't wake up Yi Xiaoyu, because he liked watching Yi Xiaoyu sleeping. Yi Xiaoyu sleeping looked very cute and full of happiness. At this time, Yi Chu looked around. Chi-Chi and Bulma were already up. When Chi-Chi and Bulma got up, they didn't know where they were going. Yi Chu looked outside and found that they were floating not far away. Some rice fragrance. The aroma of the rice was very delicious, and what made Yi Chu more concerned about these flavors was that there was some déjà vu. When Yi Chu was in the Dragon Ball universe, He once tasted these similar flavors, and when Yichu smelled these flavors, he remembered the names of these meals. It's Kiki and Bulma's craft. Yichu didn't expect that, and then he slowly put on his clothes and walked outside. At this time, Yichu also saw that there was a kitchen not far away, and Kiki and Bulma were using these more delicious vegetables, fruits and meat to cook Yichu delicious food. Seeing Yichu approaching, Yi Xiaoyu and Chi-Chi turned their heads and smiled at Yichu. Their smiles looked very beautiful, especially when there was still some sweat on their faces. Kiki, Bulma, you two are. Yichu opened his mouth and asked Chi-Chi Bulma. After hearing Yichu's question, Chi-Chi Bulma also smiled slightly, and then began to explain. Yichu, what we made for you is a few dishes that we once cooked for you in the Dragon Ball universe. After we made it for you, you said that it tasted very delicious, and you must always try us in the future. Made these meals. Quote. But after that, you have a lot of things, and you are constantly traveling between various universes, so we have no chance to cook these meals for you. This time we finally got together, so the two of us plan to do this for you once. Meals. Quote. Kiki and Bulma spoke. After hearing Kiki Bulma say this, Yichu's heart continued to fluctuate, and his heart was also touched. Well, you can taste the craftsmanship of the wives, which is the happiest thing for me today. Yichu opened his mouth. After hearing Yichu say this, Chi-Chi and Bulma also smiled, and they both looked extremely happy. As long as Yichu felt this way, it could be said to be the best compliment. Yichu was sitting on the dining table not far away. The smell of the food was constantly wafting out, and the smell was getting stronger and stronger, and Yi Xiaoyu, who was sleeping on the bed, also slowly woke up. When she woke up, after smelling the fragrance from the air, her heart was beating, and her stomach was rumbling, and she looked very hungry. Daddy, why is there such a delicious smell outside? Is it someone who's making the food? Yi Xiaoyu opened her mouth, and after hearing Yi Xiaoyu say this, Yichu also opened her mouth to explain. Yi Xiaoyu, your two mothers are cooking the food. Yichu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yichu said, Yi Xiaoyu's heart continued to fluctuate. Dad, are the mothers cooking the food? This time I can finally eat their food again. Yi Xiaoyu began to cheer, and Yichu felt very satisfied after seeing Yi Xiaoyu cheering. At this time, Yi Xiaoshan also came over in the distance. When Yi Xiaoshan came over, he also saw the scene where Kiki and Bulma were cooking, and felt a little excited in his heart. Yi Xiaoshan looked calm, but he was actually looking forward to it. Come on, sit by my side, and your mother will have the meal ready in a while. Yichu opened his mouth, and then Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu both sat beside Yichu. And not long after that, Kiki Bulma also prepared the food, and the two of them came over with the food. Each of them had a few dishes in their hands, and there was a slow fragrance on them, and they looked very good. It was delicious, and before it was served, it made people growl in their stomachs. Quote. Husband, there are 2 children, let you wait for a long time, the food is ready, we can eat. Chi-Chi said. After hearing Chi-Chi say this, Yichu also showed some smiles on his face, then Yichu stood up and walked over with Yi Xiaoyu and Yi Xiaoshan. Kiki Bulma, you two have worked hard. Now you two sit over there and let us serve the meals. Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu came to help Mom with some food. Yichu opened his mouth, and immediately they began to help each other. Not long after, they had brought all the meals and put them on the table. These meals jiaodas or ordinary meals, but they look extremely delicious when they are made, because Kiki and Bulma's craftsmanship is also very good. The meals that Kiki and Bulma made this time were not very small, and the quantity was very large. Every meal was very delicious. What was more precious was that these meals were all tasted and liked by Yichu in the Dragon Ball universe. The food was cold. Seeing these meals, Yichu's appetite also widened. Let's hurry up and taste it. Yichu opened his mouth. This was the first time they could truly reunite. The family sat together and happily ate the food. Yichu also helped Yi Xiaoyu and Yi Xiaoshan to keep adding vegetables. The two of them were also very greedy and cute. This time, they also ate for a long time, and several of them looked very satisfied, and Yichu's face was filled with joy. 344. Flickering Illusion. Haha, Kiki Bulma brought you to the angel universe this time, it's really a correct choice. In this way, I can eat your food every day in the near future. Yichu opened his mouth with anticipation in his heart. After hearing what Yichu said, Chi-Chi and Bulma also became a little overjoyed in their hearts. In fact, being able to cook for Yichu and seeing Yichu happy was something that satisfied them in their hearts. After a few people had eaten, Yichu stood up and walked outside with a few people. At this time, the sun was shining brightly outside, and when the sun shone on the faces of several people, it made them look full. Vibrant vitality. It seems that there is a beautiful picture of the future, shown in front of several people, so that their hearts are also full of expectations for the future. Yichu turned his head, with a smile on his face, he looked at a few people and said, "Are you ready? Now let me take you to the angel universe for a good swim." Yichu opened his mouth, and he was also looking forward to it. Hearing Yichu say this, Yi Xiaoyu and Yi Xiaoshan's hearts were constantly fluctuating, and Chi-Chi and Bulma also had a little bit of expectation in their hearts. Immediately afterwards, Yichu took their family and flew towards the angel universe. 663 and they started flying in the Eastern Sky Territory. There are also many planets in the Eastern Sky Territory. When Yichu was flying, many experts on these planets saluted Yichu. And when they looked at Chi-Chi and Bulma standing beside Yichu, their hearts were full of envy. But they didn't have much jealousy in their hearts, because Kiki and Bulma were too beautiful. Some women felt that Yichu was too far away from them, and they had no chance of being with Yichu, so they had no qualifications to be jealous, and could only envy and bless them. Is that Kiki and Bulma? I heard that they are the wives of Lord Yichu. They look so beautiful and wise. I heard that when they were in the Dragon Ball universe, they were the most beautiful beauties in the Dragon Ball universe. Yeah, no wonder they can become Lord Yichu's wife. A beautiful person like this should be Lord Yichu's wife. Some experts in the Eastern Sky region looked at Yichu, Chi-Chi and Bulma and said, and their hearts were full of blessings. Not long after, Biffy Yichu took Kiki and Bulma out of the Eastern Sky Territory. There are 4 great heavens in the angel universe, and these 4 heavens also have their own beauty. In fact, going to the Eastern Sky Territory before can be said to be synonymous with chaos, but after Yichu came here, he managed the Eastern Sky Territory and made the Eastern Sky Territory look very prosperous and peaceful. The other 3 domains are different. For example, the Southern Sky Territory managed by the Holy Angel looks very different. It can be said that there are hundreds of schools. The Northern Heaven Territory seems to have a lot of wars, but it is not very chaotic. The Western Tianyu looks a little different from other places, and the culture in it looks extremely special, and even the clothes are very different from the Tianyu in other places. Yichu took Chi-Chi and Bulma and the others to visit the angel universe constantly, and they were also the 4 heavenly domains in the angel universe that he visited, and these 4 heavenly domains can be said to occupy 70% of the area in the angel universe. However, there is still a remaining 30% of the area. In the remaining 30% of the area, most of the places are barren starry sky, but some places in these starry sky look very barren, while some places are full of some miraculous. For Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu, the starry sky is full of infinite mysteries. For Yichu, the starry sky is like a girl who has untied half of her clothes, full of temptation, because there are countless opportunities in the starry sky. Yichu took them on a tour of the 4 great heavenly domains, and they began to tour in the starry sky. They have constantly visited some less traveled places in the starry sky, and they have also discovered some mysterious scenes that exist in the history books. They even encountered starry sky storm once or twice, but because of Yichu's reasons, no matter how powerful starry sky storm came to them, it was just a play. On this day, when Yichu took Chi-Chi and Bulma and the others to continue their tour in the angel universe starry sky, when they flashed past a very remote place, Yi-Chu suddenly felt a little abnormal in his heart. Immediately afterwards, Yi-Chu stopped. Seeing Yi-Chu like this, Chi-Chi and Bulma also became a little puzzled in their hearts. "Husband, what's the matter? Did you find something?" Chi-Chi asked. Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu were also watching Yi-Chu closely, and their hearts were full of curiosity. "There's a problem here." Yi-Chu spoke softly, and his brows were also furrowed. When they saw Yi-Chu like this, Chi-Chi and Bulma were also full of shock, because in their impressions, Yi-Chu rarely looked like this. And when Yi-Chu looked like this, it showed that he was very serious. The reason why Yi-Chu said this, and the reason why he had such a feeling in his heart, was because when he flashed past this place just now, he seemed to see a splendid temple. But Yi-Chu looked around carefully now, and found no sign of this temple at all. "Did I just have a hallucination just now?" Yi-Chu said softly, and his heart was full of doubts, but he felt that it shouldn't be an illusion, because at his level of strength, according to common sense, no hallucinations would appear. "Dad, what happened?" Yi Xiaoyu asked Yi-Chu. Even when she was young, she felt something was wrong. "To be honest, when I flew past here just now, I seem to have seen a very golden temple in a trance." Yi-Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yi-Chu say this, Chi-Chi and Bulma also felt a little surprised in their hearts. Kiki and Bulma looked around and didn't find any temples at all, because this place looked like a very ordinary and barren angelic universe starry sky. However, they also knew in their hearts that with Yi-Chu's strength, it was impossible to easily have hallucinations. Even if hallucinations did occur, there might be some clues. "Husband, if that's the case, let's take a look around. After all, it's a waste of time to be idle now." When Chi-Chi spoke, Yi-Chu nodded. 345. Enter the temple. Yi-Chu firmly believed that he would not have hallucinations. There was indeed a shrine around him, so Yi-Chu began to search around constantly. Yi-Chu kept searching around. He used various methods, but he never found a clue. System, open the system store. As a last resort, Yi-Chu could only use the system to find this temple. Immediately afterwards, Yi-Chu exchanged a one-time auxiliary item that could see through all formations. It was a treasure that looked like a willow leaf. As long as it was attached to the eyes, all illusions could be seen through. Yi-Chu used this auxiliary prop at once. When Yi-Chu used this auxiliary prop, his eyes seemed to become brighter, and there was a bright light in his eyes, which spread to the surrounding. Past. The surroundings seemed to have changed a little bit, and what Yi-Chu saw was clearer than what he had seen before, as if the universe had changed a little. When Yi-Chu looked forward, he was a little surprised. Because Yi-Chu discovered that there was indeed a shrine in front of him. The speed at which this temple appeared was not very fast, which also showed that the level of this temple was indeed very high, so even this treasure exchanged by Yi-Chu still couldn't find out this temple very quickly. "Husband, did you find anything?" At this time, Chi-Chi and Bulma asked Yi-Chu. Yi-Chu nodded after hearing them ask. "I did not have hallucinations just now. There is indeed a temple here. This time I also found it." Yi-Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yi-Chu's words, the two became a little curious in their hearts, and Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu were also very curious. In the past, they had used all methods, but they didn't find any clues. They didn't expect that Yi-Chu would suddenly find clues this time, although they didn't know how Yi-Chu did it. They just found that Yi-Chu took out a willow-like treasure and put it on the eyes, and then they did it, but they were also happy for Yi-Chu in their hearts. Kiki, Bulma and the others looked around and found nothing, and became very surprised. "But husband, we still can't see anything." Chi-Chi and Bulma said. After hearing what Chi-Chi and Bulma said, Yi-Chu also fell silent, then Yi-Chu waved his hand gently, and then a picture appeared beside him. Yi-Chu also constructed what he saw for Kiki and Bulma. "I saw a temple that didn't look very big, but was extremely splendid and looked tall, appearing in the field of vision of several people." When they saw this temple, Kiki and Bulma also became very surprised in their hearts. Just looking at the image of this temple, they felt that some inexplicable coercion was surging towards them. Husband, there may be some danger in this temple. At first glance, this temple looks like a temple left by some powerful masters. At this time, Chi-Chi said to Yi-Chu, feeling a little worried about Yi-Chu in her heart. After Yi-Chu heard Chi-Chi say this, he shook his head. Chi-Chi Bulma said that there is no chance in the world without danger. At this time, I knew in my heart that this must be a temple left by a very powerful master, but I found this place. If I don't go and explore it, how can I get there? Pursue higher realms. Quote. Yi-Chu opened his mouth. After hearing what Yi-Chu said, Chi-Chi and Bulma also fell silent. They actually felt that way. Immediately afterwards, Yi-Chu walked forward with Chi-Chi and Bulma. He wanted to try to see if he could make this temple appear. Yi-Chu walked forward with Chi-Chi and Bulma, not far from the temple. At this time, Chi-Chi and Bulma could vaguely feel that there was indeed a temple around them, because there was a pound of pound. Ling's aura surged towards them. But they still couldn't see the temple. Yi-Chu walked to the side of the temple, and then stretched out his hands to touch around the temple. The temple looked quiet at this time, and there was no sound from all around. There seems to be a vigorous flow of energy flowing above the temple. Question mark 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 question mark. Yi-Chu felt a little surprised when his hands touched the top of the temple. Yi-Chu felt that there was a powerful energy in the temple that was tearing him into the temple. Then the next moment something happened that made Chi-Chi and Bulma a little surprised. Yi-Chu was still standing there, but suddenly disappeared here in the next moment. Husband, where have you been? Chi-Chi and Bulma watched Yi-Chu disappear here, and they became a little worried in their hearts, and shouted loudly. But at this time Yi-Chu was no longer there, so no matter how they shouted, Yi-Chu was nowhere to be seen, and they became a little worried in their hearts. 0. And Yi Xiaoyu became a little flustered in his heart. He almost cried, because they were not so old, so he also wanted to express his feelings directly with his own actions. Yi Xiaoshan also clenched his fists. He kept searching around but still couldn't find anything. Father seemed to touch the front with his hand just now, and then disappeared in this place inexplicably. Didn't my father just say that there is a temple in this place? It also means that my father may have entered the temple now. Yi Xiaoshan thought about it for a while, and said to Chi-Chi and Bulma. After Chi-Chi and Bulma heard Yi Xiaoshan say this, they also nodded. But their hearts became more nervous, and after seeing them like this, Yi Xiaoshan also continued to step forward and began to tell. Mother, or Niang, it's useless for me to be in a hurry here, and because my father just entered the temple, he is not necessarily in danger. If we want my father to come out, we can't do it with us. I have to go back to the Eastern Sky territory, and then call some experts to come here, maybe they can save my father. Yi Xiaoshan opened his mouth, and after hearing Yi Xiaoshan say this, Chi-Chi and Bulma also agreed in their hearts. Chi-Chi didn't expect Yi Xiaoshan to be stronger and calmer than them when faced with such a thing at such a young age. 346. Mysterious Murals. Xiaoshan, what you said is not wrong, we have no way to find it here. After all, our cultivation base is not particularly strong. In that case, now we will return to the Eastern Sky territory and follow your method. Call those mighty masters, and then come and rescue your father. Chi-Chi opened her mouth, and after hearing Chi-Chi say this, Yi Xiaoshan also nodded. Immediately afterward, a few of them rushed towards the Eastern Sky territory. After a long time, many experts will come here, and maybe the angel leader will also come here. At this time, Yi-Chu had indeed entered the temple that he had just discovered. Yi-Chu will be in that splendid temple, and he can't feel anything about the outside world. When Yi-Chu first entered the 0 temple, he was a little worried, because he thought he had entered a trap, but after Yi-Chu sensed the surroundings, his heart also became a little calm. Stand up. There doesn't seem to be any trap here. The reason why I entered this place just now seems to be because I touched this temple. Yi Chu didn't expect that in his heart. He felt that he should have encountered a chance. In fact, Yi Chu also had some doubts in his heart, because in the past, it was a little far-fetched to say that you could enter this temple by touching it. Yi Chu felt that just now, there seemed to be a willpower in the temple to direct the temple to carry out such a thing, but Yi Chu was not particularly sure. Yi Chu walked continuously in this temple. Inside this temple, it didn't look very big, but it actually had a vast space inside. Yi Chu was walking in the temple, and there was always a very majestic aura in the temple. The realm of this aura was very high, so Yi Chu was also careful when walking here. After Yi Chu walked for a while, he also became a little puzzled, because he found that there was nothing in this place, and the surroundings looked very empty. Yi Chu kept walking towards the temple. He wanted to go to the innermost part of the temple to see what was inside. After some time passed, Yi Chu finally walked to the innermost part of the Chaos Temple to look in his heart, and became a little surprised. The innermost hall of this temple was a large hall. After entering this hall, Yi Chu was also surprised, because there seemed to be nothing in this temple, but there seemed to be some murals on the walls of the innermost hall. Yi Chu also stopped when he saw these murals. These murals seemed to have an inexplicable magic power, attracting Yi Chu's attention. The murals seemed to depict a scene of the Dragon Ball universe, and he kept watching it up and down, and then he realized that the scene painted on the mural seemed to be the scene of the angel universe. This mural seems to be painted with a scene of the angelic universe. Who the hell did this mural? What's the point of him painting this mural? Yi Chu looked at the mural and felt a little puzzled. At this moment, Yi Chu's heart also became a little surprised, because he found something abnormal. Yi Chu had already observed almost the murals on the walls of this hall at this time. He found that the murals on the wall were indeed pictures of the angelic universe, and if he looked closely, he would find that the pictures painted on these murals seemed to be somewhat different from the angelic universe. Yi Chu stood there, his brows furrowed tightly, his eyes still fixed on the murals on the walls of these halls. The frescoes on this wall, if you look at it simply, seem to be the scene of an ordinary angelic universe, but if you look closely, there are actually some differences. Yi Chu thought to himself that he had already discovered the difference, that is, the mural on the wall of the hall, although the painting was actually the scene of the angel universe, but it was not the scene of the angel universe now, because there are some places in this mural that Yi Chu never had. It has never been seen in the angel universe. Moreover, Yi Chu believed in his heart that there was absolutely no place where some of the paintings on this mural existed in the current angel universe. And if you look closely, you can find that the area painted on this mural seems to be slightly different from the current area in the angel universe. It seems to be the result of the passage of countless years and then the changes of the universe. If I'm not wrong, the scene of the angelic universe painted on the murals in this hall should be the scene of the angelic universe countless years ago. And the angel universe recorded on it is extremely detailed, and it can be said that it is a big map of the angel universe. Yi Chu stood there and spoke softly, and his heart became somewhat clear. Is there just one mural in this place? What exactly do you want to do with a map here? Only at this time did Yi Chu realize that the scene painted on the main hall here was the map of the angel universe before, but Yi Chu also became a little puzzled in his heart. Yes, you are right, the murals here are indeed the maps of the angel universe before. At this time, an incomparably vicissitudes and ancient voice suddenly entered Yi Chu's mind, causing Yi Chu to become a little wary for a moment. Who the hell is talking? Get out of here! Yi Chu said with a nervous look in his eyes, and his expression became a little nervous. 0.6 person in this hall, but in fact Yi Chu never relaxed himself, because Yi Chu always felt that there was a person in this temple, otherwise, it is impossible to enter this temple inexplicably. Yi Chu was a little nervous because he had been observing the surroundings all the time before, but he had not found any clues, which meant that this person was actually hiding his body perfectly. Yi Chu guessed in his heart that this person was probably the owner of the temple, and his strength must be very high. Who else is talking to you? At this time, the incomparably ancient voice entered Yi Chu's mind again, and Yi Chu felt more vigilant in his heart. 347. You and I are both caged people. Yi Chu didn't seem to see anything unusual around him, but at this time, Yi Chu's heart became a little surprised, because Yi Chu noticed that the murals on the wall in front of this hall seemed to be starting to change a little bit. It was as if the originally calm lake water began to ripple. The murals on the walls of the entire hall began to vibrate, and it seemed that there were waves of ripples. These ripples only appeared a little at first, but gradually they began to shake violently, as if the calm lake had ripples in circles, and then began to want to make a huge storm. The frescoes on the walls of the hall kept shaking, and then in Yi Chu's somewhat surprised eyes, these frescoes began to slowly dissipate, and then gathered in the middle. Then Yi Chu found a figure gathered in front of Yi Chu from these murals. Although this person looked a little vague, Yi Chu vaguely saw that he should be a creature of the 18th race of angels. This angel seems to have 12 wings. Although he can't see his face clearly, his 12 wings are flapping constantly behind him, as if he is fanning the entire angel universe. Finally, you are finally here. The man in the mural said to Yi Chu, and Yi Chu fell silent after hearing the man's words. Who the hell are you? How did you appear in this place? What did you have to tell me? Why do you call me a person with fate? After Yi Chu was silent for a while, he looked at the person in front of him and said. At this time, Yi Chu actually became a little more relaxed, because he felt that he got some information from the words spoken by this person. First, this person should not have much malice towards himself. Second, this person should have been waiting for him for a long time. Third, this person should tell himself something this time. 12 wings fanning his back, Yi Chu felt that this person was likely to be the ancestor of the legendary angel. The ancestor of the angel can be said to be a true legendary master, and his strength can be said to have been many times higher than Yi Chu's now countless years ago, and even the angel universe is likely to be created by him. So when Yi Chu looked at the person in front of him, he also respected him a little, because Yi Chu felt that he was probably the first ancestor of angels. You must have recognized me, I am the ancestor of angels. The figure in front spoke lightly. After hearing his words, Yi Chu's heart also became clear. Sure enough, he was the ancestor of the angel, but his current state looked a little wrong. It seemed like a remnant of a soul, not complete life. The figure of the ancestor of the angel looked at Yi Chu quietly, and seemed to have guessed what he was thinking. Your guess is not wrong. It is indeed my remnant who is standing in front of you, and my real body is already dead. Even talking to Yi Chu with the first ancestor of the angel, Yi Chu nodded after hearing the words of the first ancestor of the angel. The reason why I call you a predestined person is that I know that one of you will come here after countless years. You are the one who can break free from fate, and only you can break our original trajectory of life. The remnant soul of the ancestor of the angel said to Yi Chu. After Yi Chu heard such words, his heart also became a little surprised. The words of the first ancestor of the angel still seemed to echo in Yi Chu's ears. Yi Chu's heart beat thumpingly, showing the urgency in his heart, but Yi Chu is still quietly watching the remnant soul of the first ancestor of the angel. He knew the first ancestor of the angel still have something to say. The reason why you can enter this temple this time is actually because of me. I summoned you to this temple. The ancestor of the angel said to Yi Chu. After hearing the words of the ancestor of the angel, Yi Chu also nodded and continued to look at the ancestor of the angel. Presumably you summoned me to this temple, not just to tell me these things, you must have a shocking secret to tell me. Yi Chu looked closely at the ancestor of the angel, and his chest began to beat continuously, and Yi Chu's heart also became a little anticipation. Yi Choksan knew that the first ancestor of the angel was not an ordinary person, so Yi Choksan felt that the first ancestor of the angel would definitely tell him a shocking secret this time. After hearing Yi Chu say this, the first ancestor of the angel also nodded. Yes, I do have to tell you a big secret this time, and it is also a very terrifying secret. You must listen carefully. The ancestor of the angel said to Yi Chu, and the voice of his words also sounded, which inexplicably made people feel a little anticipation, and Yi Chu was also cheered up. He wanted to hear what the ancestor of the angel wanted to tell himself. What's the matter? When you hear this secret, it is possible to break your original destiny. There are countless universes in this world, and there are countless beings in the universe, but these beings are all undisturbed lives. They have cultivated to a high level in their lives. They think that where they are now, they are invincible. Of an ant. Maybe dragons or hunters stand by well 760 and look at them in the well and they won't feel anything. The ancestor of the angel stood in front and said to Yi Chu quietly. Although his expression seemed calm, the words he said made Yi Chu's heart continue to fluctuate. The ancestor of the angel would not be for nothing. Saying this, the first ancestor of the angel said this, and Yi Chu had some terrifying associations in his heart. Angel ancestor, what do you mean by these words? Yi Chu stared closely at the ancestor of the angel, as if he wanted to see through something, and he also continued to ask the ancestor of the angel. Don't get me wrong, I'm not targeting you. I just said that whether it's the angel universe or the Dragon Ball universe, they're actually just pastures for masters, small fish ponds for hunters, and closed wells. The first ancestor of the angel continued to speak, but Yi Chu was silent. There was actually some anger in Yi Chu's heart, because the first ancestor of the angel seemed to be too lowly speaking to them. It's not that I belittle you, it's the fact that it's the way it is. Later, you will find that the reality of this universe is far more cruel than you think. You and I are both people in a cage, and I don't know how to live in a cage. The ancestor of the angel spoke lightly, and Yi Chu's heart was constantly fluctuating. 348. Yi Chu's choice. Angel ancestor, what do you mean by these words? Listen to what you mean. Have we always been in a larger world? To be honest, I have always felt that there is an incomparably huge world in this world, and I don't know how much more powerful than the universe we are in, and I have been looking for it all the time. Yi Chu frowned tightly and looked at the ancestor of the angel. Yes, what you understand is not wrong. In fact, there is no larger universe. There has always been only one big world, and we have always been in this big world, and the reason why you can't find it is because we live in the big world. Inside a well of the world, this well, is our own universe. Quote. And you should also know some news. In history, there have been some masters in the Angel universe, Dragon Ball universe and other universes, but these masters have disappeared for no reason. In fact, they are like mature fish in a fish pond. It's the same, just caught. The ancestor of the angel looked at Yi Chu quietly, and said such words lightly. The words of the ancestor of the angel still seemed to echo in Yi Chu's ears. Yi Chu was silent, his heart was constantly fluctuating, and his heart was extremely shocked. The ancestor of the angel also looked at Yi Chu quietly. He knew that Yi Chu was extremely shocked at this time, so the ancestor of the angel did not disturb Yi Chu. He knew that it might take a little time for Yi Chu to accept this information. The constant fluctuations in Yi Chu's heart passed. After a period of time, Yi Chu finally accepted this matter in his heart, and Yi Chu quietly raised his head and looked at the ancestor of the angel again, but there was no more in his eyes. The surprise, at least in the eyes of the ancestors of the angels, can't be seen. When the first ancestor of the angel saw Yi Chu like this, he was a little surprised, because the first ancestor of the angel did not expect that Yi Chu had returned to a calm state in such a short period of time, and only a few minutes had passed. Yi Chu, have you accepted this fact? Diaresis. The ancestor of the angel looked at Yi Chu and asked, and he was also very curious in his heart. What if I don't accept the ancestor of the angel? This fact is just reality. Even if I don't accept it, he will continue to exist, and if I want to develop better, it can only be accepted. According to what you said, there are many powerful masters in this world who regard us as fish in the fish pond. If this is the case, they are destined to regret it, because even the fish in the fish pond, there are some maybe one day the carp will leap into a dragon. Quote. When the time comes, let them pay the price for what they have done. Yi Chu said. In history, there are some powerful masters in these worlds, but these masters have disappeared in the end. I don't know where they went, and according to the words of the first ancestor of the angels, they are obviously the masters of that powerful world. If they are caught, their fate can be guessed with their feet. Yi Chu, you're right, most of them may have died after they were captured. Look at the way I am now, why are there only remnants left? My strength was incomparably high back then, and I was attacked by them because I didn't obey them, and then I became a remnant. And I left this remnant in order to wait for someone with a predestined relationship. Today, I finally let me wait for you. I found that you seem to have many secrets. I believe that one day in the future, you can change our destiny. The ancestor of the angel said, whether it is the angel world or the Dragon Ball world, if the masters in the world are too powerful, they will be caught by the masters in the more powerful world. After those masters captured them, most also killed them or turned them into slaves. My masters in the universe world despise them, treat them as inferiors and savages, and do not allow them to be too powerful. Immediately afterwards, the first ancestor of the angel continued to tell Yi Chu some such news. Yi Chu also understood the world a little more clearly, and his worldview was slowly changing. That larger world, his name is called the universe world. The universe of the universe does not know how huge it is, and what Yi Chu once heard in the Dragon Ball world, as well as those ancient legends, there are actually some things in the universe of the universe. But now that Yi Chu knew the truth of these things, not only did he have no fear in his heart, but Yi Chu wanted to enter the universe even more. Even if there are many masters in the universe, so what? My talent is no worse than them, and I just need to keep a low profile. When I get to the universe, I will definitely help us Dragon Ball world and angels. The world and other worlds, and strive for our rights and interests. Quote. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yi Chu's words, the first ancestor of the angel nodded, and he appreciated Yi Chu even more in his heart. Yi Chu didn't seem to be so pessimistic. In fact, Yi Chu was a little overjoyed at this time, because he originally wanted to know the information of the larger world, and at this time, it could be said that he had truly achieved his wish. Now that we know that there are indeed larger worlds in this world, and we know that they themselves are in this universe. Therefore, Yi Chu felt in his heart that it would be more convenient for him to enter the universe. Quote. The ancestor of the angel, I don't know if you have no way to send me to the universe, I want to go to the universe. At this time, Yi Chu looked at the first ancestor of the angel and said, and the first ancestor of the angel heard Yi Chu say this, and Shen Good fell silent. Yi Chu, you need to know that the universe in the universe is extremely dangerous. Are you going to enter the universe now? You must know that your strength is relatively weak now. The first ancestor of the angel looked at Yi Chu and said, but after Yi Chu heard the first ancestor of the angel say this, he shook his head. I must enter the universe of the first ancestor of the angel, and now I am indeed a little weak in strength, but if I enter the universe, I can improve my strength more quickly. I believe you must have a way to enter the universe, please tell me. Yi Chu looked at the ancestor of the angel and said that his eyes were also very firm. After the ancestor of the angel saw Yi Chu's gaze, he found that Yi Chu's eyes did not seem to flinch at all. Some faltered. 349. Get the map. After the first ancestor of the angel was silent for a while, he finally made up a decision in his heart, and the first ancestor of the angel nodded his head. Okay, if that's the case, Yi Chu, I'll tell you how to leave this world of angels and Dragon Balls and go to the universe. The ancestor of the angel opened his mouth, but he was actually looking forward to the sight of Yi Chu jumping out of the well, and some looked forward to Yi Chu's future. After Yi Chu heard what the first ancestor of the angel said, he also became a little bit looking forward to it. Since this is the first ancestor of angels, how can I leave these worlds, jump out of the well, and go to the universe? Yi Chu asked the ancestor of the angel, and after hearing Yi Chu ask this, he immediately waved the big hand of the ancestor of the angel. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chu was surprised to find that on the wall behind him, a little light began to radiate, and then there was a relatively small mural from before, which was painted as a map and floated on the hands of the ancestor angel. The map of Yichu is a map of the surrounding world, but there is also a place marked on this map. As long as you go to that place, you can go to the universe through that place. The ancestor of the angel looked at Yichu and said 347 things, and then handed the map to Yichu. After Yichu heard the ancestor of the angel said this, his heart became a little more solemn, and Yichu took the map slowly. Come here, it seems very solemn. Yichu has now held this map in his hand, and his heart has become a little excited, and then Yichu speaks to the angel leader. Thank you, Chief Angel, if you can give me this map, then I can leave here and go to the universe. Yichu opened his mouth, and the first ancestor of the angel looked at Yichu with some worry. Don't worry, the ancestor of angels, I will definitely be ready to go again. Yichu spoke again, and the first ancestor of the angel looked relieved, but Yichu did not leave the temple at this time. When Yichu didn't leave, the first ancestor of the angel also became a little surprised, because at this time, he had already given Yichu what he should give, and he had to explain everything to Yichu. Does Yichu still have any questions? Yichu, is there anything else you need me to do for you? The ancestor of the angel looked at Yichu and asked, but Yichu shook his head after hearing the question from the ancestor of the angel. I don't need you to do anything for me, the ancestor of the angel, but I have an idea in my heart. Is it possible to resurrect you and take you out? Yichu looked at the ancestor of the angel and said, and his heart was also about to move. But when the first ancestor of the angel heard Yichu say this, his face changed slightly, and then the first ancestor of the angel sighed. When he saw the first ancestor of the angel sigh, Yichu also became a little puzzled in his heart. I know why the ancestor of the angels sighed. Ancestor angel, is it possible that you don't want me to leave here? Is it possible that you don't want to be resurrected? Yichu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yichu say this, the first ancestor of the angel shook his head. Yichu, it's not that I don't want to be resurrected, it's not that I don't want to leave this temple, it's not that I don't want to go to a farther place. With my strength, do you think it's not easy if I want to be resurrected? But it's not that I don't want to be resurrected, but if I were to be resurrected, I'm afraid I would be killed immediately. The ancestor of the angel looked at Yichu and said, because his strength is too high, so if he is resurrected, he will probably perceive those masters at the moment of resurrection, and he will be beheaded immediately at that time. It is better to keep the current state of the remnant soul, slowly saving and waiting for the opportunity to revive in the future. After hearing the ancestor of the angel say this, Yichu also became silent, and he also understood why the ancestor of the angel did this. You must know that in the Dragon Ball world, many people can be resurrected. The ancestor of the angel is so powerful. According to reason, if he wants to be resurrected, it is probably relatively simple, but the ancestor of the angel has always been there is no resurrection, indicating that he does have a lot of fear. The reason why Yichu was able to leave these worlds and go to the universe realm was because Yichu's current realm was actually not particularly high. Chu's strength seems to be born with hidden special effects. Angel Ancestor, I know, if there is a chance one day, I will definitely help you resurrect. Yichu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yichu said, the first ancestor of the angel nodded. At this time, they had already finished what they had to say, so Yichu also prepared to walk outside the temple. Yichu, you want to go outside now. If you want to go out, I can send you out. The ancestor of the angel opened his mouth. Yichu also nodded lightly. He knew that he had disappeared outside inexplicably, and then entered this temple, presumably outside Chi-Chi and Bulma and others also had some worries in their hearts. In fact, what Yichu didn't know in his heart was that there were already many experts in the starry sky of the angel world outside the temple. Because Yichu entered this temple inexplicably, Bulma and the others didn't know what happened, so Chi-Chi and Bulma immediately rushed back to the Eastern Sky Territory, and then gave them to the experts in the Eastern Sky Territory. After talking about this matter, and after the master got this matter, he immediately passed the news to the angel leader. When the angel leader learned that Yi Chu had disappeared and might enter a temple, the angel leader was also a little surprised. Immediately afterwards, the angel leader brought a lot of masters to gather together, saying that he wanted to rescue Yi Chu, and Yamozi and the demon lord were also there. At this time, in the place where Yi Chu disappeared before, there were many masters standing. The leader of them was the leader of angels, the ruler of demons, the guardians of the left and right, and others. While Kiki and Bulma stood in the distance, they seemed to be very worried. At this time, there were countless experts around them, and they were constantly checking around, looking for the temple and the way to enter it. However, after searching for a while, their brows became tighter and tighter, and their hearts became even more surprised. Master Chief, we have searched all around, I don't know how many times, but we still haven't found any clues. At this time, the left and right guardians walked in front of the angel leader and said to the angel leader. After the angel leader heard what the left and right guardians said, he could not help frowning. In fact, at this time, the left and right guardians felt that there might not be any temples in his place, because their strength is also very high according to reason, but they did not find anything, and the masters here do not know how many. But no one found anything. 350. Yi Chu comes out. The angel leader also fell silent after hearing what they said. The angel leader frowned tightly. He didn't feel that there was nothing here, because when he stood around at this time, he felt as if there are some obscure breaths that are powerfully passed towards him. There must be a shrine in this place, and Yi Chu must have entered the shrine. Continue to search for me. The angel leader spoke. He was dull in his tone, and there was some anger in his heart. After hearing what the angel leader said, the guardians on the left and right did not dare to neglect, and they continued to look around and started searching. The angel leader and the others used various methods, but in the end they only found a little clue. The angel leader can now be sure that there is indeed a temple in this place, but no matter what, the angel leader cannot let the temple be revealed, but the angel leader found something else, something else. The angel leader felt the breath of this temple, the aura of this temple. The angel leader always felt a bit familiar, and after the angel leader stood in the same place and thought for a while, something became clear in his heart. The ancestor of the angel. It is the breath of the ancestor of the angel. This temple should be the treasure of the ancestor of the angel. The angel leader stood in place. His mood was inexplicably excited, and his heart was beating wildly. Master Chief, what did you find out? This is my left and right Dharma protectors, and I have some doubts in my heart, looking at the angel leader and asking. This place is very likely to be the temple of the first ancestor of the angels. I didn't expect Yi Chu to enter this place. The angel leader murmured. After hearing the words of the angel leader, the left and right guardians were also extremely shocked. At this time, the angel leader's words also spread to the ears of everyone around them, which made them feel a little surprised in their hearts. Especially the people of the angelic world. Master Chief, what did you just say? This is the temple of the ancestor of angels. At this time, a few experts from the angel world also walked towards the angel leader, and Yamozi and the demon lord were standing beside them, and they were a little surprised. Yes, there is nothing wrong. This is indeed the temple of the first ancestor of the angel, and there is absolutely no mistake. I once obtained the treasure left by the ancestor of the angel in my palace, which is exactly the same as the breath from this temple, although this time we didn't see the shrine, but the aura around the shrine was also very accurately sensed by me. The angel leader opened his mouth and said decisively. After seeing the persuasive expression of the angel leader, Yamozi became more curious in his heart, but he remained silent. And those people in the angel world actually have some joy in their hearts, because they believe in the angel leader very much, so they don't have much doubt about the angel leader's words. And if this temple is really the temple of the ancestors of angels, then maybe they can use this thing to find out the clues of the ancestors of angels, which is also a happy event for their angel world. However, after the angel leader was excited for a while, he also frowned. No matter what, Yi Chu entered the temple at this time, and he was a little worried in his heart. He didn't know that after Yi Chu entered the temple, in the end is a blessing or a curse. If this temple is the temple of the ancestor of the angels, then it is impossible for us to crack this temple in a short time. It will take some time to even fully reveal this temple. After all, this temple is the temple of the first ancestor of angels. The ancestor of the angel opened his mouth, and after hearing the words of the ancestor of the angel, Yamozi and the others also fell silent, and Kiki and Bulma were also a little worried in their hearts. Although they were a little worried about Yichu in their hearts, and wanted to urgently want Yichu to come out and see what happened to Yichu, but they knew in their hearts that what the angel leader said was indeed true, and they wanted to crack the temple. If you enter this temple in a short time, it is almost impossible. When they thought of this, Kiki and Bulma became more worried in their hearts. The two of them sat on the same spot, their brows were also frowning, and they even felt at a loss. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. At this time, Yamozi also saw the appearance of Kiki and Bulma, so he walked over slowly. Chichi Bulma, don't worry about the two of you. Yichu has experienced more things than we imagined. This time, he just entered a mysterious temple. Maybe Yichu will spend a while. He will come out after that, as he does every time, turning danger into danger and disaster into blessing. Quote. Yamozi spoke, and after hearing Yamozi's words, Kiki and Bulma felt somewhat relieved in their hearts. You're right, Yamozi, the two of us are indeed too panicked, and it's useless for the two of me to worry now, it can only add tension and sadness. Quote ellipsis. 0. Bulma said with a bitter smile, and after hearing Bulma say this, Yamozi also nodded. In the distance, Yi Shaoxin still clenched his fists tightly. He kept staring straight ahead. His strength was too weak, so he couldn't help much. At this time, Yi Shaoxin also resented his own strength. Too weak. Yi Shaoxin desperately wanted to improve his strength. He resented that he was too lazy in the past. In fact, Yi Shaoxin was very diligent in the past, but although his talent is strong, he will never be better than his peers. It's just Yichu with a system on it. Just when everyone was worried about Yichu, there was a sudden fluctuation in the space ahead. This fluctuation seemed to be very small at first, and then gradually began to become larger, and then everyone who was present suddenly felt it. Arrive. Everyone looked at the front quietly, and their hearts became a little anticipation. There are spatial fluctuations in the void in front of you. Could it be that Lord Yichu is coming out? At this time, the left and right guardians looked at the front and said, everyone thought the same, and they stared at the front. People. 351. Embrace. Hope is like a small flame, and it can gradually ignite the fire of a prairie fire. The hope in their hearts also starts to burn continuously because of the spatial fluctuations ahead. Boom. There was a faint sound from the front, like the sound of bubbles breaking, and then a space portal appeared. Yichu slowly walked out of the space portal. The door behind Yichu seemed to be inside a shrine. A very imposing figure could be seen. Everyone stared blankly at Yichu. No matter what, Yichu had come back at this time, so they felt a little overjoyed. In an instant, the space portal behind Yichu disappeared. Yichu, you are really back. At this time, Yamozi took the lead in running towards Yichu and said, 557. Also opened his arms, and the others also woke up one after another. Master Yichu really came out. Their hearts began to relax, and then everyone rushed towards Yichu with a worried smile on their faces. Don't worry everyone, I have nothing to do, and I came out safely at this time. Yichu watched everyone speak, and then he hugged Yamozi fiercely. After embracing each other for a while, everyone also surrounded Yichu. Looking at Yichu, they were very puzzled. They didn't know what happened during the period of Yichu's disappearance. They felt that Yichu might have entered the temple of the ancestor of the angels. After all, when Yichu came out just now, in the space portal behind him, he could faintly see the interior of the temple, and even a majestic one could be seen. The shadow of is likely to be the ancestor of the angel. At this time, they found that Yichu was safe and sound, and everyone began to feel relieved, but then they also had some doubts in their hearts, and they didn't know where Yi Chu went before. The angel leader looked at Yi Chu, and he was very eager to ask Yi Chu, but the angel leader didn't know whether he should ask, because this is also a secret of Yi Chu. Lord Yi Chu, what happened to you just now? Did you enter a palace? Tell us what happened. At this time, the left and right guardians stepped forward and asked Yi Chu, but after Yi Chu heard their words, he fell silent. Yi Chu wasn't going to directly say what he had just encountered, because there were too many people present. Let's go back and talk about this in detail. Yi Chu opened his mouth. After hearing Yi Chu's words, the angel leader's eyes flashed. After a while, the angel leader nodded. Haha, Yi Chu finally came out. Why are we asking so many questions? Let Yi Chu relax for a while. The angel leader stepped forward and said with a big laugh. After hearing what the angel leader said, Yi Chu also smiled slightly, and then he walked to the side. I am sorry Kiki Bulma made you a little worried just now. Yi Chu walked to Chi-Chi and Bulma and said this to Chi-Chi and Bulma. After hearing Yi Chu's words, Chi-Chi and Bulma also had some smiles on their faces. There were still some tears on Chi-Chi's face, because he almost cried out of grievance just now, and sometimes when he saw Yi Chu coming out, his heart was also filled with stronger feelings because of the grievance just now. Come out. When Chi-Chi looked at Yi Chu, her eyes were full of joyful light shining on Yi Chu. Seeing Chi-Chi's appearance, Yi Chu liked Chi-Chi very much in her heart. Haha, Kiki, don't worry, I'm back here. Yi Chu spoke, he stroked Chi-Chi's cheek, and then wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes for Chi-Chi, and Chi-Chi's mood improved a lot. Dad, we were really worried about you just now. At this time, Yi Xiaoyu also ran over, and after running over, he hung directly on Yi Chu's body, and then opened his mouth. After hearing Yi Xiaoyu's words, Yi Chu also nodded. I couldn't help it just now. I was directly absorbed into a palace, so I didn't have time to talk to you. But don't worry, after I entered the palace this time, not only did I not encounter any danger, but I also gained some opportunities. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and Yi Chu's words were also heard by Yamozi next to him. After Yamozi and the Demon Lord heard Yi Chu's words, they were also happy in their hearts. Yi Chu, you are really a man of destiny. You can get a lot of benefits when you encounter such a thing. It's a shame that I was worried about you before. Yamozi looked at Yi Chu and said with a smile, although he said this, he was only joking, and he felt happy for Yi Chu, because Yi Chu's strength was stronger, it would be a little bit for him. Benefit. Okay, since Yi Chu has come back, this time is also a good thing. We have been gathering here all the time before. What is the purpose of looking for Yi Chu? At this time Yi Chu has returned, so we can spread out. The first ancestor of the angel came over and said that after hearing the words of the first ancestor of the angel, Yi Chu also pointed it out, because there were so many people around. The first ancestor of the angel also knew that Yi Chu had to disperse these people before telling him about it. Talk about what happened before. Left and right protect the law, disperse all irrelevant personnel, and then we go back to the Eastern Sky Territory and follow Yi Chu. The ancestor of the angel opened his mouth and heard the ancestor of the angel say this. The left and right guardians also nodded. Then the left hand walked to the side, and all the idle people were scattered away. After a while, there were only 2.9 of them who knew each other. People. Everyone looked at Yi Chu, and Yi Chu also looked at them. Go back and talk. Yi Chu spoke softly. After hearing what Yi Chu said, the first ancestor of the angel also nodded, and then they walked back together. The reason why Yi Chu wanted to go back was because he had his own palace after returning, and the palace was also there are some big formations that can block all their words, so that no one will hear what they say. Not long after, Yi Chu took them back. When Yi Chu came to the Eastern Sky Territory, after seeing Yi Chu's return, the people in the Eastern Sky Territory were completely relieved. Before, Yi Chu's inexplicable disappearance also made everyone in the Eastern Sky Territory be Yi Chu. Feel very worried. 352. Like a pig. When Yi Chu came back, he also saw the holy angel from a distance. The holy angel stood on a planet in the distance and looked at Yi Chu from a distance. The divine angel's eyes were very complicated, because he did not expect that after Yi Chu did not see Yi Chu for such a short time, Yi Chu's strength and status had changed so much. Yi Chu looked at the holy angel from afar, and then nodded at the holy angel. The holy angel nodded after seeing Yi Chu nodding, with a smile on his face. Yi Chu walked into his palace. When Yi Chu walked into his palace, the angel leader and the others followed Yi Chu. A few people walked into the palace. Yi Chu looked at the people present. There were Angel Chief, Amoshi, Demon Lord, and Kiki and Bulma. You want to know where I just got in? Yi Chu looked at them and said. Hearing Yi Chu say this, they also nodded tightly. Yi Chu waved his hand, and then created an anti-eavesdropping formation here to prevent others from hearing their voices and words. Yi Chu, you should have entered the palace of the ancestor of the angel just now. At this time, the angel leader looked at Yi Chu and said impatiently. After hearing the angel leader's words, Yi Chu looked a little surprised. He didn't expect the angel leader to guess it all at once. Yi Chu, don't be surprised. After all, the first ancestor of the angel is my first ancestor, so I can still sense his breath a little. Although we didn't find the palace just now, I also felt the breath of the palace, so I knowing that the breath of that palace is the breath of the first angel. The angel leader said. Yi Chu also nodded after hearing the angel leader say this. After seeing Yi Chu nodding, the angel leader also became a little overjoyed. He didn't expect that Yi Chu really entered the palace of the first angel. Yi Chu, what did you find when you entered the palace of the first ancestor of the angel? And is the first ancestor of the angel still alive? The angel leader couldn't wait to ask Yi Chu, because the ancestor of the angel was their ancestor, so the leader of the angel was very concerned about this matter. After hearing the leader of the angel say this, Yi Chu also sat on the side, and then slowly opened own mouth. Angel Chief, the ancestor of the angels has died. Yi Chu opened his mouth. After hearing what Yi Chu said, the face of the angel leader also became a little gloomy. At this moment, Yi Chu opened his mouth again. But he didn't die completely. Yi Chu spoke this time. After hearing Yi Chu's words, the angel leader could look at Yi Chu as if he had regained his life. He didn't know why Yi Chu said that. I know that you are all very curious. What happened after I entered the palace, I will tell you this time. That palace is indeed the palace of the first ancestor of the angel, and I also met the remnant soul of the first ancestor of the angel in that palace. The reason why I say that the first ancestor of the angel did not die completely is because the first ancestor of the angel has a remnant soul left in this world. If he wants to be resurrected, he can be resurrected completely and quickly, but he can't do it now. Yi Chu opened his mouth. After hearing Yi Chu's words, some doubts in the angel leader's heart were cleared up, but more doubts arose in the angel leader's heart. He didn't know why Yi Chu said this. Because if the ancestor of the angel is resurrected, I am afraid that he will be sensed by his enemies in an instant, and then he will be killed in an instant. Yi Chu opened his mouth. Hearing Yi Chu say this, the angel leader was also a little shocked, and the others were also very shocked. Although they don't know the realm of the strength of the angel ancestor, they can understand from the words of the angel leader that the strength of the angel ancestor must be extremely high, even higher than the angel leader. I don't know how much. Such a powerful ancestor of angels would be easily beheaded after resurrection, and they felt a little unbelievable in their hearts. Yi Chu, how is that possible? The strength of the first ancestor of the angel is incomparably high. How could he be easily beheaded after his resurrection? The angel leader frowned tightly and asked. Although the angel leader asked, he knew in his heart that Yi Chu couldn't talk nonsense. Yi Chu looked at everyone present quietly. He knew that everyone's reaction was normal, although they looked extremely surprised. After everyone calmed down for a while, Yi Chu opened his mouth again, and everyone had countless questions in their hearts that they wanted to ask Yi Chu, and they stared at Yi Chu tightly. I saw the remnant of the ancestor of the angel, and his remnant also summoned me. After he summoned you, he told me something. Yi Chu opened his mouth. Hearing Yi Chu say this, everyone's heart began to fluctuate. They looked at Yi Chu tightly, not knowing what Yi Chu would say next. Yi Chu stood there and wanted to speak, but he didn't seem to speak, because in his heart he felt that this was a reality and it was too terrifying. If he told these people, would these people be able to accept it, and for them is it a good thing or a bad thing? Just like a pig in 217, his fate was only slaughtered in the end. If it didn't know his fate, maybe it could still live happily in this life. And if you know its fate, you will not only be unable to resist its fate, but also live with fear every day, so if you say it, it may not be a good thing for them. Yi Chu, what did the first ancestor of the angels tell you? Please tell us quickly. The angel leader also hurriedly asked. After Yi Chu thought about it for a while, he finally nodded ruthlessly. Even if you die in a panic, it's better than living stupidly. Yi Chu thought to himself that he had finally made up his mind to tell everyone present about everything. Okay, if that's the case, I'll tell you what the first ancestor of the angels told me. You must listen carefully, and don't spread the news about this matter. Actually, even if it doesn't spread, no one will believe it. Yi Chu opened his mouth and added the following sentence. After hearing Yi Chu say this, everyone became more curious. They didn't know what Yi Chu had to tell them. The more Yi Chu said this, the more curious they became. 353. Happiness Cage. Everyone looked at Yi Chu and Yi Chu closely, and Yi Chu slowly opened his mouth. Aren't we looking for a big universe all along? In fact, we have always lived in this huge universe. In fact, there is only one such large universe. And we are like fish in a fish pond in a world. We don't know the truth, and we think that the place where we are is an independent world. Yi Chu spoke quietly, and after hearing Yi Chu's words, their expressions became a little exaggerated, and there was silence all around. Everyone's hearts were constantly surging. They contacted and digested the news that Yi Chu said over time. Although Yi Chu's words and news were very shocking, they also believed in Yi Chu very much in their hearts. However, there are some entanglements in their hearts, because the news is too shocking. Yi Chu, are you telling the truth? At this time, Yamozi also slowly opened his mouth and asked Yi Chu. He was a little unbelievable. Yi Chu also nodded fiercely. After seeing Yi Chu nod, everyone was completely silent in their hearts. Down. Angel Leader, there are many powerful masters in the history of your angel universe. I saw that those masters disappeared in the end, and you don't know where those masters went. This time, the ancestor of angels also told me about this. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and after listening to Yi Chu's words, the angel leader also looked at Yi Chu closely, wanting to hear what Yi Chu had to say. The angel leader also looked extremely nervous, because one of those masters was a senior angel who was like his master and his father. Angel Leader, whether it's your angel universe or Dragon Ball universe, or other universes next to you, there have actually been many powerful masters. These masters have disappeared in the end, and I don't know where they went. The first angel told me. The news is that those masters were actually caught, persecuted and even killed by people in that big world. Quote. The name of that big world is called Joyuji. Yi Chu opened his mouth. Hearing Yi Chu's words, the face of the angel leader also changed greatly. There was an unbelievable look in his eyes, and he muttered from the same place. Impossible, I don't believe this, it's impossible. The angel leader stood on the spot and muttered, saying that he looked a little lost, and the angel leader who seemed to be invincible even had such a look, which made people sigh deeply. Angel Chief, whether you believe it or not, it's better to stay awake. Yi Chu spoke softly, and there seemed to be a sobering magic in his words, which calmed the shock and panic in everyone present. Angel Chief, don't worry too much. Most of them were persecuted after they were captured, and only a part of them died. Maybe your beloved senior angel didn't die. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yi Chu say this, the angel leader also nodded, and he could only believe it in his heart. There are many, many powerful masters in the history of the universe of angels, and the strength of the ancestors of the angels is even more powerful. I never thought that even with their strength, they would still be easily captured and persecuted by masters in the universe. Before, I thought my strength was very strong, but it's really ridiculous to think about it now. The words of the angel leader are also the voice of everyone present, and they also think so in their hearts. Who is not the arrogant figure in their respective universes, but from the current point of view, they are just a little scoundrel. Immediately afterwards, they still had some doubts in their hearts. Yi Chu stood still and began to ask them questions again, and he answered them one by one, so they also learned a little about the universe and the characters in the universe. There is also some resentment, as well as incompetence and resentment for being trapped here. People in the universe think that we are inferior, even after we cultivate to a very high level. They will not treat us as equals, but treat me as an ant and eat it as a fish in a fish pond, and they do it for us. Yes, sooner or later we will pay them back. The angel leader opened his mouth. Seeing the angel leader say this, Yi Chu also nodded, thinking the same in his heart. Yes, Chief Angel, we will return one day sooner or later. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yi Chu say this, the angel leader also nodded. Everyone stood there and began to digest what Yi Chu had told them. Because Yi Chu had told them almost everything before, so they didn't have anything to ask. Everyone stood there and began to digest the news that Yi Chu had said. Yi Chu had told them everything before. Everyone sat in the same place. After a while, they finally digested most of the information in their minds. The angel leader also raised his head and seemed to have some energy, much better than before. Yi Chu, since we now know that the universe of the universe is extremely terrifying and powerful, and the universe of the universe may be our enemy, then what should I do now? At this time, the angel leader raised his head and looked at Yi Chu. Everyone also raised their heads and looked at Yi Chu. They also had these doubts in their hearts. Seeing Yi Chu's appearance, they also became somewhat calm in their hearts, because Yi Chu looked extremely calm, which made them feel a little more at ease. Just before I left, the first ancestor of the angel handed me a map, saying that by virtue of this map, Li Jiaojiao could go to the universe. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and when he heard Yi Chu's words, everyone's hearts continued to fluctuate. That is, after a period of time, I may go to the universe of the universe. Do any of you want to go to the universe of the universe with me? Although the people in the universe are extremely hateful, there are also many opportunities in the universe, and there are more masters in the universe, so if you want to improve your strength and hone yourself, you must go to the universe world. Yi Chu opened his mouth and explained the pros and cons. He glanced at the faces of everyone present. After hearing what Yi Chu said, they also fell silent. Everyone knew in their hearts that what Yi Chu said was correct, but in their hearts they were a little afraid of the people in the universe. If they really entered the universe to take revenge, maybe they were also a little timid in their hearts. Of 354. Mysterious Double Body. Now that they live in these universes, they can already be said to be the most powerful characters in these universes. They can say that they have what they want, and if they are in the universe, they may become civilians in an instant, so they are also in their hearts. Some tangled. Yi Chu's eyes swept across everyone present, and after a while, the head of the angel raised his head and looked at Yi Chu. Yi Chu, I've decided. If you want to go to the universe realm in a while, you must call me at that time. The angel leader looked a bit decisive. After hearing what the angel leader said, Yi Chu also nodded in appreciation to the angel leader. Okay, if that's the case, I'll definitely take you with me when the time comes. Yi Chu said that if someone could go with him to the universe, it would be good news for him. After all, people in the universe are unfamiliar, and if he has friends by his side, he will not feel lonely. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chu looked at the other people present again. The others seemed to have no idea. Yi Chu could only helplessly shake his head. If they didn't want to enter this place, Yi Chu wouldn't force it. There are also some dangers in the universe. Yi Chu sighed and was about to go down, when Chi-Chi and Bulma suddenly took a step forward. Husband, if 427 wants to go to the universe realm, then the two of us must follow you. The two women said to Yichu. After hearing what Chi-Chi and Bulma said, they could get it down. Yichu called Chi-Chi and Bulma over just to tell them the truth. I didn't expect that fate would actually want to follow me to be you, but Yichu's heart is understandable for them to do so, and Yichu is also surging with warmth now. Chi-Chi, Bulma, you should also know that the universe is extremely dangerous. You really want it? Yichu opened his mouth. Enough, husband, never did you say that. Before Yichu could finish speaking, Chi-Chi and Bulma interrupted Yichu's words. How can the universe be dangerous, Biddy? As long as we have you by our side, we don't care. Even if we die by your side, we will feel contented in our hearts. At this time, Chi-Chi looked at Yichu tightly and said, hearing Chi-Chi's words, Yichu felt a little moved, but Yichu shook his head slowly, although he also wanted Chi-Chi and Bulma's love very much. Be with him, but he has to keep his sanity. If Chi-Chi and Bulma went into the universe, it would definitely be very dangerous. Even Yichu himself would have some dangers in entering the universe. However, Kiki and Bulma seemed to be very determined this time, so Yichu didn't know how to persuade Kiki and Bulma to go down. Kiki, let's go down and talk about Bulma. Yichu just sighed and said, and then waved his hand to let the others go down. After they saw Yichu waving, the others also walked out. At this time, only Chi-Chi and Chi-Chi were left. Bulma, and Yichu. Yichu, it's not the two of us who understand you. The two of us miss you so much and want to be with you so much. After everyone left, Chi-Chi also said to Yichu with a sad expression on her face. Yichu saw Chi-Chi's face, and her heart was constantly fluctuating. Yichu took a deep breath, and finally looked at Chi-Chi and Bulma tightly. Yichu's eyes seemed to be very clear and transparent, while Chi-Chi and Bulma were also looking at Yichu closely, and there was a hopeful light in their eyes. Flickering. Kiki, Bulma, can you both trust me? Give me a day and I will give you a satisfactory answer. Yichu opened his mouth. The reason why he said this was because he had a system, and there were all kinds of treasures in the system. Maybe he could find something to solve Chi-Chi Bulma's problem in the system. After hearing Yichu say this, Chi-Chi and Bulma also nodded. They didn't want to embarrass Yichu. So Yichu took them down, and then went back to their own house. At this time, Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu also learned that Yichu might go to the universe after a while. The two of them also became a little sad in their hearts. They never thought that after Yichu had been with them for so long, they would now go to the universe realm again. If Yichu went to the universe realm, they would be even more reluctant to part in their hearts than before. Because they were all by Yichu's side during this period of time, and they had tasted a lot of sweetness. They had tasted a lot of sweetness, and they were even more reluctant to part with Yichu-kai. Yichu returned to his room and sat down. After Yichu sat down with his legs crossed, his spirit also sank into his mind. System, is there any way to solve my current problem? Yichu's voice transmission asked the system, and the system gave an answer after being silent for a while. Host, this problem is actually not a difficult one, and there are many solutions. For example, it's enough to exchange a practice. The system responded after hearing the system's answer. Yichu was also surprised by who was going to be surprised. Cultivation method. What kind of exercise method is it? Yichu continued to ask the system, and then the system recommended a practice to Yichu. The name of this practice was Shuanfan Double Body. Mysterious double body is a very mysterious exercise, which allows Yichu to divide his body and spirit into two, and then cultivate a double body through a series of operations. In this way, it seems that there are two himself. Yichu can also the avatar that was differentiated from the mysterious double body, and then stayed by the side of Chi-Chi, Bulma and others. And the avatar created by the Zon avatar's double body is also like a real Yichu, which can be controlled by Yichu, and the spirit can also be synchronized with Yichu. Yichu's eyes began to light up when he saw this mysterious double body exercise recommended by the system. Yichu stared at this mysterious double body exercise, and felt that this mysterious double body exercise was now made for myself. That's great, as long as there is this mysterious double body technique, you can differentiate into a clone, and then accompany Chi-Chi, Bulma and others, so that I can solve my current troubles, and I can let Chi-Chi and Bulma is also very satisfied. Quote. Yichu thought in his heart, and his face became a little happy. 355. The Second Self. Immediately after, Yichu looked at the exchange points of the Profound Fen twins, and found that there were quite a few exchange points for the Profound Fen twins, but Yichu gritted his teeth and exchanged the Zon Fen twins exercise. After Yichu exchanged the Xuanfen double body exercise, he began to practice the Xuanfen double body exercise impatiently. Although the Xuanfen double body exercise seemed very simple, it was a little difficult to practice. If he wanted to differentiate himself into a clone, Yichu had to reveal a little bit of his energy and spirit, and then he could form another self after some more mysterious operations. In addition, he had to add some treasures. Fortunately, Yichu also obtained a lot of treasures after passing through the Demon Universe, Angel Universe and Dragon Ball Universe. Yichu also used a lot of these treasures in order to cultivate his avatar. Yichu sat on the spot, as if another self appeared behind him. An invisible air current flowed towards Yichu's body. Yichu continued to practice the mysterious Fen double body technique. After a period of time, a second self appeared beside Yichu. Except for his aura that was a little lower than Yichu, everything else was exactly the same as Yichu. Although this clone's strength is not as strong as Yichu's, it still has 30% of Yichu's strength. Even with 30% of Yichu's strength, few people in these universes can match. Second self appeared beside him. This second self looked exactly the same as Yichu, there was no slight difference, and Yichu's heart was full of overjoyed. As long as there is this second avatar, I will be able to accompany Kiki and Bulma all the time. In this case, they will not have any worries in their hearts, and I can go to the universe freely. Quote. Yichu heard some footsteps outside his room. After Yichu sensed it, he realized that Chi-Chi and Bulma were walking towards his room, and his heart moved slightly. Dong dong dong. There was a soft knock on the door of Yichu's room. Husband, are you inside? Can we come in? The voices of Chi-Chi and Bulma came from outside the door. After hearing the voices of Chi-Chi and Bulma's son, Yichu spoke. Kiki and Bulma, the two of you, come in. Immediately afterwards, Chi-Chi and Bulma walked in slowly. When the two of them came in and saw Yichu, they always felt that Yichu in front of him seemed to be a little overjoyed. Husband, you seem very happy, what are you happy about? Chi-Chi asked Yichu at this time, and Yichu smiled mysteriously after hearing Chi-Chi ask this way. Kiki, didn't you say before that I couldn't accompany you, and I solved this problem too? Yichu opened his mouth. After hearing what Yichu said, Chi-Chi and Bulma also became a little surprised. They were also very curious and didn't know how Yichu solved it. Husband, you said you solved that problem, can you tell us how you solved it? Bulma opened her mouth with curiosity in her heart. After hearing Bulma's question, Yichu smiled mysteriously. After seeing Yichu's mysterious smile, Chi-Chi and Bulma became even more curious in their hearts. Staring at Yichu. At this moment, Yichu's avatar walked behind Chi-Chi and Bulma, and patted the two of them gently. When Chi-Chi and Bulma came in, Yichu also took his avatar. It was hidden, so Kiki and Bulma didn't find Yichu's clone. Feeling that their back was being patted, Chi-Chi and Bulma also became a little flustered in their hearts. They turned their heads and found Yichu standing behind them. Husband, why are you suddenly standing behind us? Chi-Chi asked, and was very surprised in his heart. At this moment, he seemed to have thought of something, turned his head, and found that Yichu was still standing in front of him. Immediately afterwards, Chi-Chi and Bulma were shocked to discover that there were two Yichu in this place. Husband, why are there two of you here? Which one is the real you? Chi-Chi said. Her head felt a little confused, but Yichu smiled slightly after hearing Chi-Chi say this. Question mark question mark question mark question mark question mark. These two are me and your husband, can't you feel my breath? The two Yichu spoke together, and after hearing the two Yichu speak together, Chi-Chi felt that her head had grown even bigger. Because the two of them seem to be just one person, but Chi-Chi feels as if such a thing should not happen. Husband, how could such a thing happen? At this time, Bulma asked Yichu, and Yichu smiled slightly after hearing Bulma's question. I learned a practice method before, and then I used this practice method to create a clone, and then I created this clone, so these two people are me. Quote ellipsis. Yichu opened his mouth. After hearing what Yichu said, Chi-Chi and Bulma became a little bit clearer in their hearts. They looked at Yichu closely and found that the two were indeed Yichu, and there was no difference at all. Husband, you are right, these two people are indeed you. Bulma said. Kiki and Bulma both became a little happy in their hearts. If there are two Yichu now, they also have some understanding in their hearts when they think about what Yichu said before, and also in their hearts. Very excited. Husband, since you have created a clone, that is to say, even if you go to the universe, can you let your clone accompany us? At this time, Chi-Chi also raised her head and said, and there was an undisguised excitement in her voice. After hearing Chi-Chi say this, Yichu also nodded tightly. Chi-Chi Bulma, even after I go to the universe, my avatar can still accompany you well, so that you will not feel lonely. And not only that, my avatar can also connect with my consciousness, so it's like I'm by your side. Yichu spoke, because his avatar and his consciousness are the same. After he is far away from the avatar will become independent, but when he is close to the avatar, all the memories of the avatar will also enter into him. In his mind, even if he wants to destroy this clone at any time, he can do it. Mountain. 356. Solve troubles. Yichu continued to explain the beauty of his avatar to both Chi-Chi and Bulma. When they heard this, Chi-Chi and the girl were completely relieved. The two of them looked at Yichu for a while, and then at Yichu's avatar again. Their eyes were filled with unstoppable curiosity, and their hearts were also very excited. Kiki and Bulma, now I have created a clone. In this case, I can always stay by your side. In this case, you can't stop me from going to the universe. Yichu opened his mouth. When he heard Yichu's words, Chi-Chi and Bulma also nodded. They looked very well behaved this time. A little smile. Don't worry, husband, we will definitely stay here and obediently, 240 inches will definitely not cause you any trouble. With your avatar by our side, it's like after you are by our side, we will definitely wait for your return. Chi-Chi and Bulma said that because Yichu's avatar is strictly Yichu himself, so they didn't have any grudges in their hearts. Hearing Chi-Chi and Bulma say this, Yichu felt relieved. In this way, he perfectly solved the problem that made him tangled before. Okay, my husband, go out with us, and tell Yi Shaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu the news. Bulma spoke. Yichu nodded after hearing Bulma say this, and then Yichu walked out with Chi-Chi and Bulma. When they went out, they found Yi Shaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu outside. At this time, Yi Shaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu also frowned. They both felt as if two Yichu were walking towards them, and their hearts became a little strange. Yi Xiaoyu, do you feel this way? I feel like there are two fathers. Yi Shaoshan raised her head and said. After hearing Yi Shaoshan say this, Yi Xiaoyu also nodded. She also had the same feeling in her heart, and at this moment, Yichu appeared in the line of sight of the two of them. When they saw Yichu, both of them felt a little joy in their hearts. At this moment, they suddenly discovered something unusual, that is, beside Yichu, not only Chi-Chi and Bulma, but also another Yichu. Autumn. Father. Really two fathers. At this time, Yi Shaoshan said. After hearing what Yi Shaoshan said, Yi Xiaoyu also stood quietly in the same place. His mouth was wide open, and he felt a little unbelievable in his heart. The first thought that popped into their hearts was that someone was pretending to be Yichu, pretending to be their father, but the two of them overturned such speculation in an instant. At this time, Qiqi and the girl also saw Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu being surprised, and there was a little smile on their faces. Yi Xiaoshan, Yi Xiaoyu, don't be too surprised for the two of you. This person is also your father, just a clone of your father. Qiqi and Bulma said. Hearing the words of Qiqi and Bulma, Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu were still extremely surprised in their hearts. At this time, Yamoshi and the Demon Lord also flew over from outside, and they also saw this. The sight made me very surprised. Yes, before you didn't bother me if I went to the universe, who would play with you, so I also cultivated this avatar. In the days when I was not there, this avatar can always accompany you, and the feeling of this avatar is also connected with me. In this case, it is as if I appear in your life, but in fact, it is indeed me who is by your side. Quote. Yi Chu opened his mouth. After hearing what Yi Chu said, Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu were also delighted in their hearts. At this time, Yamoshi and the Demon Lord were standing beside them, and their hearts were also slightly fluctuating. It was said before that Yamoshi was still entangled in his heart. If Yi Chu went to the universe, would he want to go? But Yamoshi actually didn't want to go to the universe, because he felt that the universe was very dangerous. Yes, his strength was also pulled farther and farther by Yi Chu. However, Yamoshi regarded Yi Chu as his true friend in his heart, so he wanted to continue to have a good time with Yi Chu. Now that Yi Chu has this avatar, all the problems can be solved. That's great, Yi Chu, you really solved our problem. Yamoshi ran over to speak. After hearing what Yamoshi said, Yi Chu also smiled slightly, and then the two Yi Chu started to say hello to the people around them. They seemed to think differently. In fact, their thinking is common. In the past period of time, the angel leader also got news that Yi Chu had cultivated a clone, and the angel leader also rushed over. Seeing Yi Chu's clone, the angel leader couldn't help but be amazed. Yi Chu, this clone is really incomparably mysterious, can we cultivate it? The angel leader asked Yi Chu. After hearing the angel leader's question, Yi Chu also nodded, and then Yi Chu showed everyone present how to practice the Xuanfan double body technique. After seeing the cultivation requirements of the Xuanfan double body cultivation technique, everyone frowned. Although the cultivation requirements of the Xuanfan double body cultivation technique seemed extremely simple, it must be extremely difficult to practice. Not only is it very difficult to cultivate, but it also requires a lot of treasures. Many people present do not have such treasures. The angel leader has such treasures. Even if the angel leader and the devil master have such treasures, they will also 4.4 is the practice of temporarily unsuccessful practice. You write down this practice, even if you can't practice the Xuanfan double body practice now, after a period of time, maybe you can practice the Xuanfan double body practice, and then follow me to explore the universe. Quote. Yi Chu opened his mouth. The Xuanfan double body cultivation technique can not only differentiate into two avatars, but also a very good life-saving skill. Even after Yi Chu died in the universe, this avatar stored a lot of his memories. Then he can also be resurrected from the inside again. Hearing Yi Chu say this, Yamoshi and the angel leader nodded tightly. Yi Chu raised his head, his eyes looked up to the depths of the universe, and then Yi Chu slowly took out the map given to him by the ancestor of the angel. 357. The way forward is uncertain. In the recent period of time, Yi Chu had repeatedly researched the map given to him by the first ancestor of the angels, and found that this map not only contained the geography of the angel universe, but also other cosmic geographies. There are 3 universes recorded on this map. One is the angel universe, and the other is another universe separated from the angel universe, which should be similar to the angel universe, and there is another unknown universe, this unknown universe. Marked with a red dot by the ancestor of the angel, it can be the place to leave here. This time Yi Chu planned to go to the universe marked by the red dot. Yi Chu stood above the angel star of Moana and looked at the countless people below. At this time, the angel leader also slowly walked towards Yi Chu, because this time the angel leader said that he wanted to leave here and follow Yi Chu. Inside the universe. Yi Chu looked at the angel leader, and the angel leader also nodded at Yi Chu. The angel leader's face did not show much joy, because after entering Eternal Universe this time, it can be said that it is a future. It was uncertain, so he was actually a little nervous in his heart. There were many people present, all of whom Yi Chu was familiar with, and the soldiers on Yi Chu's 18 angel stars were all looking at Yi Chu. Their eyes were bright, and countless emotions rushed towards Yi Chu. Yi Chu glanced at the cheeks of everyone present. Yamozi, Bulma, and Chi-Chi all seemed very worried about Yi Chu when they were all waiting for them. The angel leader had already walked to Yi Chu's side and stood side by side. "Anyone want to leave with me?" Yi Chu looked at everyone below and spoke. "Yi Chu, I also want to leave with you." At this time, the demon lord opened his mouth and walked to Yi Chu's side. Yi Chu nodded when he saw the demon lord walking to Yi Chu's side. In this case, the two most powerful beings in the demon universe and the angel universe were the two most powerful beings. They had already decided to leave with him. "Okay, are you ready?" Yi Chu opened his mouth, and he asked if the demon lord had taken care of what happened after he left the demon universe. "Don't worry, Yi Chu, the angel leader helped me return to the demon universe a few days ago, and then I explained the situation to the demon universe, so I can leave now." The demon lord opened his mouth, and Yi Chu nodded after hearing what the demon lord said. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chu took the demon lord and the angel chief to leave here. Countless people below looked at Yi Chu, the flag fluttered, and a mournful wind surrounded them. Yi Chu looked at everyone below, their eyes were full of longing and worry. At this time, Yamozi came over with a glass of wine. "Yi Chu, when you are nearing parting, you are very strong. Let me give you a ride. I hope that after you go to Eternal Sky, you will be able to overcome all obstacles and achieve your dreams." Yamozi said to Yi Chu. Yi Chu also nodded after hearing Yamozi's words. Yamozi also threw a glass of wine towards Yi Chu, and Yi Chu drank the glass of wine immediately after picking it up. He seemed to drink it very simply. "Yamoshi, Kiki, Bulma, although I left here to go to Eternal Sky, although there are some dangers in Eternal Sky, I am more worried about you. You must take care of yourself here, you must live happily, or if I come back, don't worry about me." Yi Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yi Chu said, Yamozi also laughed. "Yi Chu, don't worry, Chi-Chi and Bulma are waiting for you, and I will take good care of myself. Don't worry, we will have a very good life. You must take care of yourself." Yamozi spoke. At this time Chi-Chi, Bulma and the others also nodded, while Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu were also looking at Yi Chu from a distance. The two of them held each other's shoulders tightly, and looked at Yi Chu very intently. Autumn. Although Yi Xiaoshan and Yi Xiaoyu didn't speak, Yi Chu could feel their reluctance to part. Although they had Yi Chu's clone to accompany Yi Chu, they were still a little worried about Yi Chu. But in the end Yi Chu turned around and left. His figure also seemed resolute, because if Yi Chu turned back, he was afraid that he couldn't help himself, so he turned back and hugged them. Yi Chu brought the demon lord and the angel chief. They traveled through the angel universe and left the angel universe not long after. Along the way, Yi Chu also took out the map that the first angel gave him to look at. The map that the first angel gave him contained 3 universes, and Yi Chu also entered another universe. Yi Chu discovered that this other universe looked similar to the angel universe. The size of this universe is similar to that of the angel universe, and Yi Chu was also surprised that there didn't seem to be many powerful characters in this universe. The strongest among them is only the level of Yamozi, even weaker than Masi. When he saw the scene of this universe, the angel leader also shook his head. When he saw the angel leader shaking his head, Yi Chu also had some doubts in his heart. "Angel Chief, why do you shake your head 260 when you see the image of this universe?" Yi Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yi Chu say this, the angel leader also began to answer. "Yi Chu, I think I know why there are so few strong experts in this universe, and why there are no strong experts. Presumably this universe is targeted by powerful characters in Eternal Universe, so their universe will be so degraded, otherwise it shouldn't be so weak in terms of the background of this universe. The angel leader opened his mouth, and Yi Chu nodded when he heard his words. There was nothing wrong with what the angel leader said. This possibility is very high. After wandering around in this universe, they found that there seemed to be nothing special about this universe, and they didn't know why this universe was marked on the map given to them by the first ancestor of the angels. Maybe there are some secrets hidden in this universe, but we have no way or time to observe it now. Yi Chu didn't expect it in his heart, but after a while, he also knew why the map the angel leader gave him marked this universe. Because if they want to go to the universe marked by the red dot, they must use this universe as a springboard to reach that universe. 358. Cosmic Array. Because the universe marked by the red dot is separated from this universe, and there is also a cosmic barrier between them. It didn't take long for Yi Chu to bring the Angel Chief and the Demon Lord to the edge of this universe and pierce through the cosmic barrier connecting the other universe. I don't know what the universe marked by the red dot looks like. Several people stood on the edge of this universe, and the Demon Lord opened his mouth and said. After hearing the Demon Lord say this, Yi Chu also fell silent. Yi Chu raised his hand and attacked the space ahead ruthlessly. Incomparably huge energy emerged from Yi Chu's hand, gathered together, and then bombarded the space ahead. Bang! After a violent shock, a hole appeared in the space ahead. Inside this small hole, you could see the scene of another universe. That universe looked barren, as if there was no life in it. There were many abandoned planets on it. Plants and trees. The angel leader Demon Lord also saw such a scene of them, and when they saw such a scene, they were also extremely surprised. Yi Chu, is this the universe marked by the red dot? This universe looks barren, and I don't know what happened. Are we just going to enter this universe? The Demon Lord opened his mouth, and the angel leader also frowned. Yi Chu nodded after hearing the Demon Lord say this. Let's go, no matter what is going on in this universe, as long as we can pass through this universe and go to Choyutian. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and then the Demon Lord and the angel leader followed Yi Chu and walked towards the universe marked by the red dot. They passed through the hole punched out by Yi Chu, and then walked into another universe. This universe marked by red dots is desolate and desolate. There are some abandoned planets floating in it, as well as fragments of some planets. The whole universe looks dead silent. At this time, Yi Chu also had the leader of the angel and the ruler of the devil, and the three of them stood in the void of this universe. Looking at this universe from a distance, they felt a lot of shock, because they came to this universe and could see more pictures from a wider perspective. There is only silence in the entire universe. Yi Chu took the Demon Lord and the angel leader, and after they flew forward for a while, they found that there was only a dead silence in this universe, and no life existed. Although the universe had been silent for a long time, Yi Chu seemed to be able to sense the smell of blood coming from the void. Yi Chu and the angel leader were constantly walking around in the starry sky of this universe, and there seemed to be scenes of battles coming from all around. This universe must have suffered a catastrophe once, and an incomparably powerful master has destroyed this place. The angel leader looked at the scene here and said. Hearing the angel leader say this, Yi Chu also nodded lightly, and his eyes became a little dignified. The masters who can destroy this universe are many times stronger than them. Yi Chu, the map given to you by the first ancestor of the angels shows that you can go to eternal sky from this universe, but where exactly should we go to activate the teleportation array to go to eternal sky? The angel leader opened his mouth, and Yi Chu's heart was full of doubts. When the first ancestor of the angel handed Yi Chu the map, he said that there was a teleportation formation hidden in this universe, but after Yi Chu came to this universe, he didn't know where there was a teleportation formation. Yi Chu, is it possible that the first ancestor of the angels did not know what happened here at all, and it is very likely that the teleportation array has been destroyed by now, so we cannot go to eternal universe through here? This is the Lord of Demons speaking. After hearing the Lord of Demons say this, Yi Chu was silent for a while, and then Yi Chu also shook his head. The ancestor of the angels should be more reliable. Although it does not rule out what you said, it may be that we have to look for it for a while. Yi Chu opened his mouth, But after they continued to wander around for a while, they still couldn't find any clues, and Yi Chu's heart became a little anxious. At this time, he felt that his chest felt a little hot. Before, Yi Chu also put the map on his chest. When Yi Chu felt something warm in his chest, he also thought of the map for a moment, and then Yi Chu took the map out. When Yi Chu took the map when I came out, I found that the map was glowing slightly at this time. The map was constantly exuding a faint light at this time, and the light became brighter and brighter. Seeing this, Yi Chu felt a little joy in his heart. Maybe the map will lead us to find the teleportation array. Yi Chu opened his mouth. This kind of possibility also accounted for the majority. After hearing Yi Chu say this, the angel leader and the demon ruler also became a little bit looking forward to it. At this time, the three of them looked at the starry sky of the universe and felt that there were some abnormal fluctuations in the universe. Immediately afterwards, these abnormal fluctuations became more and more obvious, and the entire starry sky seemed to start to fluctuate violently. The fluctuation of the starry sky became more and more violent, as if the entire starry sky was fluctuating. Then Yi Chu was surprised to find that the stars that were once dim and seemed to be destroyed seemed to be emitting light faintly at this time. Among them, the brightness of 9 stars is the most obvious. Look, Yi Chu, the powerful waves emanating from these stars, he is spinning the dog around us right now. The demon lord opened his mouth, and Yi Chu also noticed such a scene. These stars exude powerful energy fluctuations, and the energy fluctuations are constantly increasing. The gurgling energy is surging like flowing water. The stars radiated a strong light. Immediately afterwards, the rays of light on the 9 stars became more and more dazzling, and they echoed with the map from a distance. These 9 stars should be regarded as relatively intact and huge stars in this universe. The energy on the 9 huge stars fluctuated violently, and then began to emit powerful rays of light, and the rays of light were connected to each other. After a long time, the shape of a 9-pointed star was formed. The shape of the 9-pointed star seemed to envelop Yi Chu and the others, and then the 9 stars continued to rotate rapidly, and their power seemed to converge toward the center. When this force gathered together, it also rushed towards Yi Chu and the others. 359. Come to eternal sky. After the power of the 9-pointed star gathered, a powerful teleportation force was also formed, and there were violent spatial fluctuations. Yi Chu, it looks like we can leave now. The demon lord murmured, and he seemed a little excited. In the past, they thought in their hearts that the great formation that had left these universes and went to eternal universe sky had been destroyed. Yi Chu glanced at the 9-pointed star below, and felt a little shocked in his heart, because Yi Chu's strength was a little higher than that of Demon Lord and Angel Leader, so Yi Chu also saw more things. This large formation that can take them out of this universe and go to the eternal universe, I am afraid that this whole universe is used to display, that is to say, this whole universe has been turned into a large formation by people. At this time, it is not only the 9-pointed star that is spinning, releasing huge space energy, the entire universe seems to be constantly echoing. The once dead universe looked as if it was alive, and the stars in the universe echoed each other, forming a self-contained body, as if a human being was slowly awakening and breathing. The powerful space energy formed by the 9-pointed star and this universe condensed into a halo, which slowly poured 850 towards Yi Chu and the others. When Yi Chu saw this scene, he also slowly closed his eyes. It was obvious that the time for them to leave had come. Immediately after this powerful space energy had already wrapped Yi Chu and the others inside, Yi Chu slowly closed his eyes. He felt countless incomparably pure space energy surging beside him. He himself seemed like it is like a fish swimming in the energy of this space. Yi Chu has always been proficient in space. At this time, Yi Chu felt that as long as he had a good understanding of what was in it, perhaps after a period of time, his space supernatural powers and space shuttle power would also increase. Very large. Although the devil dominates the angel leader and the others, although they don't feel that way, they also feel extremely comfortable. Another time and space is still traveling. Yi Chu didn't resist after sensing this power. and immediately after this powerful space energy carried the three of them and started to travel through space. The distance and speed of this space transmission are far and fast beyond imagination. Although Yi Chu closed his eyes, he seemed to be more sensitive to the things around him. The next moment Yi Chu and the others had disappeared from this universe, and the entire universe continued to become dead silent. The 9 stars also lost their previous light, and looked like ordinary stars, hanging in this universe. The moment Yi Chu and the others disappeared into this universe, they felt as if they had traveled through countless universes, heading towards a more wonderful and grand world, and that world had an incomparably grand atmosphere, which aroused the yearning in people's hearts. Yi Chu felt that if they could enter that big world, perhaps their cultivation speed would be even faster. It is like in a dark night sky, there are countless shining stars in the sky, and there seem to be countless stars in that big world, and each of those countless stars is a powerful master in that big world. Even though Yi Chu didn't enter that big world, Yi Chu knew that each of those big world masters who seemed to form stars was impossible for him to resist now. It seemed like an instant in the past, and it seemed like countless years had passed. Yi Chu felt that they were finally approaching the edge of that grand world. The moment they entered that grand world, it seemed that there was an incomparably huge repulsive force rushing towards them, and this powerful space energy seemed to prevent them from entering eternal universe sky. BIFC. And this powerful space energy is also resisting the repulsive force. The collision between the two energies caused Yi Chu and the others to be affected a little bit. Yi Chu felt a sense of dizziness coming from his mind, and a huge energy rippled beside him. At this time, Yi Chu could only exert all his strength to protect the Angel Chief, the Demon Lord and himself. The incomparably turbulent energy continued to surge around Yi Chu. Yi Chu felt a little dizzy in his head, and he saw from a distance that the Angel Chief and the Demon Lord had already passed out. At this time, a feeling of dizziness surged towards Yi Chu. Yi Chu felt that he couldn't hold on any longer, so he also passed out. Just as Yi Chu fainted, this powerful space energy finally carried they entered the eternal universe. And after this powerful space energy brought Yi Chu and the three of them into eternal universe sky, this space force was divided into 3 strands, and then took Yi Chu and the others as if they were 3 meteors, and fell to the 3 in eternal universe sky. A place. Yi Chu's body fell into Joyudian, a forest where he didn't know where he was. He didn't seem to have any injuries. He just passed out in a coma, and he didn't know when he would wake up. Just when Yi Chu fainted beside this forest, a carriage came over on a road in the distance, and a middle-aged man was sitting in front of the carriage. The middle-aged man was sitting on the carriage, and when he was about to pass through this forest, his expression became a little suspicious. Huh. The middle-aged man spoke softly, and then he reached out and pulled the carriage to stop. The middle-aged man jumped out of the carriage, walked to the side of the forest, and saw Yi Chu lying beside the forest. There's actually a man fainted here. The middle-aged man looked at Yi Chu and said softly. At this time, he found that Yi Chu was also completely unconscious, and he didn't know when he would wake up. Then he looked at Yi Chu's cultivation level. It didn't seem to be very good. Lo, the middle-aged man stood in front of Yi Chu, with an inexplicable flame flashing in his eyes. Hey, I didn't expect that. I just passed through this forest this time, and I could even pick up a good item. The middle-aged man spoke, and then he walked towards Yi Chu, picked up the unconscious Yi Chu, and brought Yi Chu to his carriage. Drive, drive. Immediately afterwards, the middle-aged man threw the whip on the carriage again, and walked with the carriage and the teenager towards the distance, not knowing where the distance is and where it leads. 360. Helping Hands. Yi Chu lay on the carriage and hadn't woken up yet, and the carriage was slowly driving forward. Although the carriage looked very ordinary and not very big, it also had a huge space inside. The name of the owner of the carriage was Fan Hong. After Yi Chu was in a coma for a period of time, his body continued to recover, and after a short while, Yi Chu slowly opened his eyes. When Yi Chu opened his eyes, he found himself inside a carriage. In the room inside the carriage, there were some people sitting around. Their expressions looked numb. Yi Chu opened his eyes. Then saw the same thing. What's going on? Where am I? What the hell happened? Didn't I go into eternal sky before? And then he didn't know what happened after that. At this time, the scene of Yi Chu waking up was also seen by the few people who looked numb, and then they went out and told Fan Hong about this. Immediately afterwards, Fan Hong walked towards Yi Chu. He stopped the carriage and walked into the space inside the carriage. When Yi Chu saw Fan Hong approaching, he was also slightly surprised, but he was not too afraid. This Fan Hong's cultivation was not that high. If he wanted to kill him, gently a slap will do. Fan Hong didn't seem to feel Yi Chu's danger. He felt that Yi Chu was like a lamb in a bag. Who the hell are you? Why am I in your carriage? Yi Chu raised his head and asked. After hearing Yi Chu like this, Fan Hong also showed a little kind smile on his face. Haha, don't worry. Before, I saw you fainted on the side of the road when I was on the road. It was dangerous. Then I rescued you and wanted to bring you into our palace. I see that you fainted on the side of the road, but no one came to help you. You must be helpless. I don't know if you are one of us in our palace. Fan Hong opened his mouth. After hearing Fan Hong's words, Yi Chu's heart also moved slightly. At this time, Yi Chu continued to look to the side, but he didn't find the figure of the demon lord and the angel leader, and his heart became a little bit. When I became puzzled, I also felt a little worried about the master of the devil and the leader of the angels. You mean, I was the only one with me when you found me? Yi Chu looked at Fan Hong and said. Fan Hong nodded after hearing what Yi Chu said, and after seeing Fan Hong nod, Yi Chu also fell silent. If he guessed correctly, I am afraid that the angel leader and the demon master are not in this place at this time. They may have fallen to other places. Fan Hong looked at Yi Chu's expression and guessed something in his heart. It seems that you also have friends, but at this time your friends have disappeared, and you don't know where you slept before, so even if you go back, there is nothing you can do. All you have to do is join our organization. As long as you join our organization, you can use us to find your two friends, and maybe you can find your two friends faster. Fan Hong opened his mouth and said to Yi Chu. Yi Chu also nodded after thinking about it in his heart, because Yi Chu felt that the demon lord and the angel chief had indeed gone to another place at this time, and even if he returned to the place before, the demon lord and the angel chief could not be found. Angel chief. Because before, he seemed to vaguely see the angel leader and the angel leader fall to two places in eternal universe that were far away from him. Okay, if that's the case, then I'll join your organization first. Yi Chu had a little smile on his face, and said to Fan Hong. Fan Hong looked a little overjoyed when he heard Yi Chu say this. Although he said that he joined Fan Hong's organization, Yi Chu was also in his heart. There are some wary ones. Because he had just arrived in Eternal Universe, although Fan Hong looked very kind on the surface, Yi Chu still didn't have a correct understanding of what he was like, because people in this world always like to hide their truth. Mentality and appearance. Question mark 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 question mark. Okay, if that's the case, then you can sit in the carriage first, and I'll take you to the palace of our organization soon. You sit well, I'll bring you some food after a while, and don't worry about being hungry. Fan Hong opened his mouth, and his attitude seemed to be very good. Yi Chu nodded after hearing what Fan Hong said. Then Yi Chu sat up on the carriage, and then Fan Hong walked over to the outside of the carriage. On the carriage. Drive, drive. He kept whipping the carriage with his whip, and then the carriage began to gallop again. Yi Chu sat quietly in the carriage. He looked at the people around him. Although those people seemed very calm, their expressions seemed a little numb, which was why Yi Chu was vigilant. 0. These people around looked very numb, and they didn't know what was going on to make this happen. Yi Chu thought to those people around the carriage house. Immediately afterward, Yi Chu didn't continue to pay attention to it for a long time, because these people were not very strong, so Yi Chu didn't have much worry in his heart. Yi Chu just closed his eyes and quietly realized the supernatural powers of space, because Yi Chu was teleported over by that incomparably huge array before. When Yi Chu was enveloped by the powerful space energy, he also had a deeper understanding of space energy, so at this time Yi Chu felt that as long as he calmed down and understood for a while, he might be able to increase his strength a lot. Yi Chu closed his eyes. He felt that his spatial supernatural power was constantly improving. After the spatial supernatural power was improved, it not only added a little to his speed, but also made his attacks more powerful and threatening. Force. Possessing a powerful space supernatural power, he may be far away one moment, and the next moment he may come behind the enemy. Treating those who are not good at melee combat can be said to be their nemesis. And the more powerful the space supernatural power is, the bigger the threat ceremony will be. Door.